So, okay, we don't really see the players right now because there are some probably photos are being made of the participants while everyone is getting ready for the round. Most likely some Blitz game in the Open tournament have been played very long, and that's why we have some short delay of this round, but the games are going to resume shortly.
So once again, these are the standings. So Bjerre also getting ready for his game versus Stalemate. I would like to follow the game of Prag against Martirosyan, but of course, action might explode any other boards as well. We are going to see. It's tough to choose.
It's very tough to choose the game, but I would agree with you, Artur. The matchup of Praggnanandhaa against Martirosyan is one of the most exciting ones in the next round, and that's one we are going to follow.
Where are they? I don't see them on the board. Shankland's also wondering where are they? No? No, he's waiting for something else. Maybe there's some announcement in the playing venue.
Yes, I also didn't see really the players sitting at the boards in the open section. I guess maybe there is some delay of the pairings for the open Blitz tournament. That might be a case.
I think they're trying to sync all of the tournaments to start at the same time because, of course, the main event of the 57th International Billiards Festival is the Martirosyan Challengers Triathlon, the Blitz tournament, which happens today. But there's also other Blitz tournaments happening at the same time, and that's why they want to sync it to start the round start at the same time, not to disturb some other players who might be still playing.
Of course, and that's why the GMT players are currently waiting patiently for their round to start. Many viewers, everyone is probably waiting for the pairings. We're going to see the game shortly, but actually, yeah, recalling the games of Praggnanandhaa and Ike, I believe in the rapid, it was in the chess 960 rapid, it was Praggnanandhaa who scored the victory against Ike Martirosyan, but in the rapid, it was a draw.
So here we have Stalemate, who is waiting for his opponent, Donchenko. Yeah, for Stalemate, it's been a very, very tough tournament, Angelikov, right? Because he is the youngest participant here in the tournament. He was able to play out some very nice openings in the classical tournament. Yesterday, he had a rather painful defeat by the hands of Bjerre. So probably a tournament, at least result-wise, to forget, but still a valuable experience. Well, Donchenko just lost his game against Stalemate, so he desperately needs the victory here.
He desperately needs a win for sure, and in order to fight for the top ranks to qualify in the final stage of the Grandmaster Triathlon for Challengers. We see finally Praggnanandhaa against Martirosyan. Both players arrived at the board.
So he removes the jacket. You know, this reminds me of this very famous scene when I believe it was Michael Tal playing against Paul Keres a long time ago, two chess legends, and Michael Tal sacrificed a piece, and then Paul Keres stood up, removed his jacket, sat down, accepted the piece sacrifice, and successfully defended. And after the game, Michael Tal famously joked, I mean, I expected everything, I calculated everything except that you were going to remove the jacket.
That's something what was missed in the calculation. We see a handshake and the games are starting. We see d4 on the board. It would be great to see the players in the full screen. Here we see, wow, Bishop g5, Trompovsky.
Not a very popular weapon you often see in classical rapid chess, but that's why this is Blitz. Here you go. We have a very nice zoom. We can follow it. Trompovsky sometimes is quite similar to the London ideas. They're pretty popular. So white just brings out the Daxwa bishop, puts the bishop on d3, secures the center with c3, and is looking for some simple kingside attack. But Ike plays it very quickly, so it appears that he knows this particular setup pretty well, which probably is not a big surprise because he's a big Blitz specialist.
Yes, of course, and we see a4 being played immediately, trying to challenge the black. a6 is very flexible move, so that in case of a5, there is going to be b5 played, c3, and short castle. The players are finishing the development. We see so far everything is going to the plan. And knight e4, what a move.
Knight e4, you can see that this Lasco bishop on b7 conveniently defends the e4 square. There goes the bishop trade, queen e7. Now it is the Indian Grandmaster who has to bring up some answers to the question, what's he going to do with the knight on e4, trade it or leave it alone or try to get rid of it.
Yeah, a huge question, especially knowing that light squared bishop for black is very nice on that diagonal. And we see that he's not doing it, but he's threatening to capture a pawn. Will black play f5 and secure the knight?
No, he just trades on d2, knight takes on d2. Now the question is, does he want to take with the knight? Yes, he does. This also opens some potential possibilities for white to push in the center with e4 or 4. I think white's play definitely should be somewhere in the center or the king side. There's nothing happening at the queen side, and now it's Martirosyan who is thinking about the e5 push or c5 instead.
And he's going for a c5, instantly striking in the center. The king is still in the center for black, but it's okay. He can castle the next move. And f4, some kind of a stone wall being played by Praggnanandhaa.
A great stone wall, indeed, Angelika, because usually white has this terrible ducks with bishop on c1. That's why Trumpovsky sometimes transposes. And there you go, f5, a double stonewall position.
We have stonewall accepted. We have both players are going for this very nice squares on the e5 and e4. Most likely both of the knights are going to be placed there. And c4 grabbing a center on the queen side by Ike.
Easy game by Ike because now he is planning to start a queen side attack with b5, b4, trying to generate some targets. For Prag, again, it's pretty similar. Just play rook g1, play g4, play for the attack. And especially in the blitz time control, it's much easier to attack the king.
But look at the bishop on b7. It's standing on the squares on which pawns are standing. Is it going to be an issue for Armenia #1 player?
b4 is a big move, Angelika. He tries to slow down black's intentions at the queen. So now the question, do you take en passant? No, Ike doesn't. And this means he's going to accept a passive defense. I do not like this move because now white can simply close the queen side, Angelika, and focus entire army for the king side attack.
But what to do with the bishop on the c6? Maybe it could remaneuver somewhere on the e8 to get into the play, because I don't like this bishop for black.
It's terrible. It's
terrible.
Bad. 8x on b5, that is a bit surprising. I would have thought that Prag is going to close the queen side. He was not really sure if with the king side it's going to be enough. Queen b2, he's now battling for the open a file. And then maybe at some point anchor the knight on e5.
And now queen is joining the battle. h3 prophylactical move, and also potentially pushing for something like g4 on the king side.
So he's trying to play on both sides of the board. Keep the a file open, threat with g4 for Martirosyan. It's a bit unpleasant. Rook a4, big move. He's offering to take on a4, and then black would fork himself a pass pawn.
Yes, actually a huge move right now from Ike. What will Prag do? Will he accept this trade of the rooks? I don't think so. You don't want to allow that protected passer happening there. But on the other hand, there are going to be protected passer for white on b4.
Martirosyan is a bit faster. Rook a3 is played by Prag. I think this is also going to mean that here black is going to take over the a file. Rook a8, queen b2, and now what?
Now rook a4, next move.
Or maybe knight b6, knight a4. Still, it doesn't solve the problem of black's light square bishop. What do you do with it? Yeah, as here, Sona Timex here on chat says, poor bishop for Ike. I completely agree with you.
Yes, very sad bishop on c6. Let's see what he's going to do with it. He has to protect the rook right now. Rook on a7 is being under attack. Queen is coming in.
Queen protects the a file. There's a fair chance that both rooks are going to disappear at the a file. And here, Prag's only hope to do some serious damage is to open up the king side with a timely executed g4 push.
Let's see what's happening. Bishop is coming back, so now he's not allowing rook a4 ideas anymore. Now, what will Ike do in this position? The bishop is very passive. His pieces are also not so active. What to do?
So bishop d1, I guess. So white tries to improve his bishop first by positioning it on c2. I don't think that Prag really wants to trade the queens. We are going to see that, of course.
The queen b8 was played. Now king f1, bringing king to the action. Trade of the rooks has happened on the board. It would be probably good to see it on the big screen, the board of the players, so we can see it closer, what is happening there. Yeah,
so there goes the Prag's knight on e5. He tries to get to some weaknesses here. White king is approaching the queen side. I suppose he wants to relieve the queen from its duties. Prag wants to put the king somewhere on b1 so that he can position his queen at the king side.
Yes, exactly. And here knight coming to e4. Both knights are located on the perfect square. The question is, can white break through? Can white do some damage? Because it's the black's bishop who is suffering big time on a8.
Bishop c2 was a great move. So white was already threatening to trade off black's knight on e4. There you go. There are the moves incoming. King d2, king e1. So what's going to happen? Is Martirosyan going to be able to hold this position, or Prag is going to score his third victory in a row? So the king already is at the queen side, trying to make sure that black cannot crash through at the queen side, and then use this queen to do some good at the king side.
Yeah, Prag had a very long journey with the king all the way to b1. We see that the Hike is trying to introduce knight into the position, bringing knight most likely somewhere to the a4. g4 break has happened by Prag. He's trying to break in the king side, but now queen is coming there. Maybe queen h4 is an idea.
Queen h4 is definitely a big idea, so Prag needs to make sure that black cannot cause some problems there. King b2, now here white positions the king to make sure nothing ever happens to the queen side. Now the queen is ready to join the action on the king side. Now Ike goes back, queen a7, rather surprising move.
Exactly, and now queen a7, queen goes back. So maybe now queen h4 is a threat for white actually joining the position of the black.
Let's maybe go full screen so that we can see what's happening there. There goes knight a4 check here. Here we have still the same game, of course. Full screen, Prag versus Ike Martirosyan. Knight a4 was just played by the Armenian Grandmasters, so the players have about 40 seconds each. White is pressing, very easy position for Prag. And Ike is desperately trying to hold on and not to make any big decisions. Queen g3, great move, Angelika. I think White is trying to play h4, h5 to generate some targets.
Yeah, huge attack on the king side for White. I mean, how do you defend this position? I mean, I think Ike is in trouble. How do you protect from h5 move? You have to do something with your king.
So I think what Keymer Martirosyan wants to do, he wants to put the queen on a7 and play knight a4 check, somehow crash through. White's chances at the king side are not guaranteed, so here also Prag needs to make sure he's not blundering anything at the queen side.
Exactly, and we see queen f6 was played, trying to protect the position, but it's so difficult. Queen h4, is it possible to bring the queen there for black, or does it make any sense? Knight a4 check.
Big decision. Now black forms a pass pawn, but I think the white king already can go to h3, and also white has formed himself a pass pawn at the b file.
Exactly, and also we see that there is going to be a huge battle of the knight and the bishop. We see that the bishop for black is very passive piece because all the pawns are located on the light squares, and knight is a piece which is dominating over there on the e5
Prag
square.
is making a progress, only 9 seconds on the clock.
Only 9 seconds on the clock. He's used to this time trouble. He's playing faster. He's getting every move 2 seconds. Queen g3.
Queen g3.
What do you play next?
Now this is really dangerous here for Ike because the king is in danger. The knight on e5 is strong, and this unfortunate last square bishop on e8 is a poor bystander. G takes on the 4 played very quickly. There you go, a couple of pawn trades we're seeing. King f8.
King is trying to escape. King h3 has been played, stopping the pawn from running on the queen side. We see queen h6 has been played.
That's a great move, trying to crash through what defense says. Prag is running low on the clock, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. He needs to make a move.
Huge idea of queen h1 and queen a1 checkmate is there for Ike Martirosyan in the picture, but the queen's been traded off the board.
Queen's got been traded, and now white has some difficulties to make a progress because, yeah, this threat of the black queen crashing through was a big one. Here we see the players are shuffling the pieces here and there, but I don't really see how white can make any progress. Unfortunately, that's what sometimes happens. Yeah, the knight on e5 is beautiful, but you need extra colleagues to make something good happen.
And we see someone's here right now instead of the board, and the game has finished.
Shankland
Another win for Sam Shankland against Vincent Keymer. Last moves of the board, Alexander Donchenko against Igor Samenenkov are being played on the board right now.
So we have a queen endgame here in the game of Alexander Donchenko versus Igor Samenenkov. Donchenko has 2 extra pawns. There goes the queen trade, and that's it. He is winning the game. The game of Prag versus Martirosyan still continues. White is pushing forward. He just won the piece, but is this enough? Or is black going to trade off all the pawns? I don't think Prag can answer with d takes on e5. No, he does.
There is no time to stop all the pawns.
But now it's going to be just a draw, no? I think d4 Angelika is incoming.
Now he's taking, and d4 incoming, trading the last pawn on the board. That's what we see right now, and the draw is agreed on the board.
Yeah, of course, it's a bit disappointing maybe for Prag. A huge save for the Armenian Grandmaster. It was very important not to lose here and give even a greater momentum to the Indian player who has started very strong with 2 points out of 2. Now he's finally stopped with half a point. And I believe all the games, Angelika, are finished.
Yes, we have all the games finished, so many exciting matchups. Maybe it's time for us to call for the results of the round number 3 of the Grandmaster Triathlon Blitz portion. We had a lot of exciting action in this round.
So it is Liem versus Mishra who played a draw. There you are going to see those results in a moment on the screen. So that game was a draw. Alexander Donchenko versus Igor Simonenkov. Donchenko won the game. It's a very important one for him. Sam Shankland now is finally finding his pace against Vincent Keymer, scoring, again, impressive victory. Bjerre loses yet another game. He lost with the white collar against Salem Saleh. And Salem, if my calculations are correct, Angelika, he's 3 points out of 3. He's all about business here. Prag was finally stopped with a half a point. Very important matchup between Ike Martirosyan. And Marc-Andrea Maurizi continues his winning ways by defeating Vaishali. What do you make of that?
This is a crazy matchups, crazy results we are having, and we still have 7 more rounds to follow. The action is going to resume with a more exciting chess.
Are you enjoying this, dear viewers? We certainly are here. So we'll be back in a moment. This is 57th International Biel Chess Festival. We'll be back right after the break. And we have had an amazing start in the Blitz tournament of the 57th International Biel Chess Festival in the Masters and Challengers Triathlon, because today we are going to lose 4 players in the triathlon because there's going to be one more final stage with more classical games, but right now there's Blitz. Angelika, 3 games are over, the 3 rounds are over of the Blitz tournament. Did we meet your expectations, or there was something that you quite didn't expect?
I mean, for sure, I expected Praggnanandhaa to score. It is his last chance to stay in the top 4 of the tournament. But what surprised me is that Keymer currently has half a point, and that actually Sam Shankland managed to score so many points, and now he's having 2 out of 3, beating Keymer and Martirosyan.
Yeah, for Vincent, this is a very tough moment because only top 4 qualify in Prague is all about business, and he wants everybody to suffer because of his previous misadventures in the classical tournament. In the meantime, the leaders in the Masters are the same, nothing really changed. And when we look at the challengers, Angelika, I do see that Stalemate has solidified his lead by a strong start, 3 points out of 3. Vaishali is falling behind, but still in the 2nd place. Donchenko is catching up. However, I'm looking at Jonas Bjerre, Angelika. I think he's suffering right now. 0 points out of 3, and it's actually quite surprising that Martirosyan is the one who has the perfect score with 3 victories, and maybe, theoretically, he has a chance to make it to top 4.
Maybe he can catch up with Jonas Bjerre if he's continuing his path, but also in the Masters tournament we have a change that Praggnanandhaa took over Vincent Keymer now also by half a point. I mean, if Praggnanandhaa keeps on winning these matches, then we might see Vincent Keymer getting eliminated from the main tournament, and he's not going to be able to play in the final stage of the Grandmaster Triathlon.
Here we see Vincent is getting ready for his game versus Prague. The start has been pretty slow for the German Grandmaster. Last year he already played not really successfully. Normally, Vincent has been playing in the Blitz tournaments pretty well. In 2022, he had a strong start, 8 out of 14, shared the 2nd place. He has played in the GMT tournaments all the time, at least 50% result. But yeah, last year was disappointing. And also this year, Angelika, is not great for him.
It's not going great. The handshake has been done right now. The Knight f3, yes, the famous move of Vincent, and c4. English opening we have on the board.
Yeah, it seems that finally the boards are working. Very happy to see that. So what do we have here? Keymer is improvising with the first moves, bishop b2, delaying the d4 move, knight b5 played very quickly. I think this is some kind of a Blitz repertoire. Oh, there you go. It's ready with the fork on c7.
Wow,
how about
immediately.
that?
Knight a6 has to protect. And now knight e4 is jumping right in by Praggnanandhaa. What is knight doing there on e4? Do you want to play d3 to kick it out?
I'm not really sure. I suppose he wants to land the knight on d6 or maybe bishop f6 because the bishop on e5 is a bit annoying. Maybe there's some f6 ideas as well. Queen c2, and here Prag is thinking. Sometimes white here doesn't cast a short on the key plays, moves like h4 and knight g5, try to be creative, get to the king's attack. But of course the big question is where white plans to position the king. c6 is on the board.
We have a very important battle right here. So f6 has been played by Praggnanandhaa, immediately kicking out the bishop from the e5. And he's going back to g3.
Bishop g3. I like this choice by Keymer because now you see if black is going to take on g3, h6 on g3 is going to open the rook on h1, hitting the pawn on h7. I don't think Prag is going to do this, but he needs to make a choice.
The queen's on c2 is standing very nicely. That's why knight b4 is playing, immediately trying to challenge the queen. Queen b1 is something what I would expect to play, and here we have the move. a3 most likely is going to kick the knight.
This game is getting really sharp. Now black is threatening to play bishop f5, bring the bishop in the game, and also bother the white queen on b1, so Keymer needs to do something about it. By the way, can you take on e4? That's the big question. I'm suspecting, Angelika, this is still a prep.
Taking a knight on e4, there is no bishop f5 because there is a check on f6.
Keymer is thinking. Yeah, Keymer is thinking about his choices, what to do. He's not really aware of this, so at the moment I think that Prag has been slightly better in the opening phase. There you go, c takes on d5 is played, knight c3, d takes, knight e5, and we have a symmetrical structure on the board.
Exactly, and now is the time for white to decide to castle or not. And he's castling short, of course, looks very logical, but computer somehow doesn't like it. Because there is a pawn hanging on c3.
Short castle. Whoa.
Knight C3?
Whoa, what just happened
Wait,
here?
knight c3? What is happening?
Knight x on c3, bishop c4 check, intermezzo check, and then try to trap the knight. Wait a second, Angelica. I think this knight is going to go back, no? What just happened here? So Prag's thinking about, what about the pawn on c3? Can I take it? Yes, and he does it.
Knight c3, bishop c4 check, king goes away, and now knight can come back to d5. What is happening? It was just a blunder of a pawn?
I think it was just a blunder indeed, because I don't see how white can make black suffer because of this knight on c3. It's easily heading back either to d5 or b5 squares, so this knight is not in trouble. Also, as you can see, the white queen is under attack. I think Vincent here simply hallucinated something. That's not the start that he wanted.
Yeah, that's not the start for sure. He wants, especially knowing their battle for the fourth place in the Masters tournament. Queen c2 is attacking the knight, but knight is simply retreating on b5 or d5. On d5 there could be a problem of rook d1, so maybe that's why knight b5 could be a move.
Knight e5 is indeed played. Of course, the game is not over because white is only down a pawn, but this is a big psychological blow to the German grandmaster because you tend to underperform when you're blundering, especially in Blitz game. I don't think at the moment Winston has a lot of confidence, but of course he's going to continue to fight on. Maybe think about some future ideas like knight h4, knight f5, try to use those weakened light squares. We'll see.
And now Vincent is burning time trying to find the way to go. Will he play the rook on d1? Will he play knight h4? This is really already difficult for him because being simply down a pawn for no initiative is not something you expect from the tournament.
This is too long. He's taking too long here. He should just make a move. This just shows how unhappy he is about this position, how he's playing in general. So he plays rook d1. Winston needs to wake up.
And we have some attack on the d5 knight. Will bishop e6 be played? I mean, looks like a logical move protecting the knight. But there is a e4 very strong threat, so you have to make sure this doesn't work.
So most likely Prag's going to retreat to the queen to make sure he's not blundering the knight.
Yes, queen a5, maybe protecting the knight on d5. Looks like a good move.
So here Prag is choosing about his continuations. 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock. Still not a simple position. Maybe he's not happy to give up the pawn on d5 because if the queen leaves the d file, the pawn on d5 is gone. Maybe queen a5 indeed is the best move here to keep the pawn alive. But no, he decided to sacrifice the pawn.
He's sacrificing a pawn on d5, but can you take it actually? That's a huge question. Can you take the pawn? Because if you exchange the knights, then you can help with the development black, and there are going to be two bishops, the bishop pair for Praggnanandhaa against knight and the bishop. Bishop on g3 is very sad for Vincent.
I think that Vincent is not going to take on d5 because then black's position is very easy. I think what Vincent would like to do is to play a3 to keep the b4 square protected and play bishop d3. I mean, he's very slow, 30 seconds already on the clock. So clearly Vincent is not right now in the shape he was looking for. He still has made a move. He essentially has wasted like 2 minutes on a couple of simple moves.
I have only 3 words. Vincent, wake up. Vincent, wake up, because under 30 seconds you cannot play so slow. And rook ac1 has been played. Bishop e6 with the easy development for black and simple extra pawn looks very easy.
Queen e4, now here white is trying to play bishop d3, build a battery. That's why he decided not to take a knight on d5, because Vincent, of course, is well aware that in the Blitz game you want to be attacking. Yeah, there's the feature chat. Vincent might be tilting. Perhaps this is the case because the previous round he was completely winning and he did not win it. So sometimes this can do damage.
Yes, and what he's trying to do, he's trying to create maybe some attack on the king side, bringing the queen to e4. Maybe there are ideas to push the h pawn, bringing the bishop to the d3 square. Knight h4, knight f5, also activating the knight on the king side. Is there an attack, Arturs?
I'm not really sure, but king g8 was a pretty human move. Apparently there was something wrong with this. Maybe because engines really like the bishop g8 prospect to keep the pawn on h7 protected. There's knight f7, queen g4, at least for the German fans. Keymer is attacking. Knight f5 is a threat, maybe h4, h5. This game is still not over. And by the way, the bar confirms it. Keymer apparently still okay.
And Keymer finds this very nice initiative against the king. e4 is being played. Now, what do you do? If you remove the knight, then there is going to be played bishop takes f7, and rook might enter on the 7th rank.
What I don't like about here Prag's position here, he started to play very passive. I don't think this was a good idea. This king g8, 97, everything falls apart. Now look at this bishop on f8, which is not very active. And Vincent starts to feel the blood here, so he plays king h1 to play f4.
Wow, he wants to open up the position f4. Now huge threat to trade the pawns and to open the f-file against the black's king. Knight g6, Prag is trying to defend.
Great move, I like it. So queen h5 pins the knight. If the king goes away, there's going to be knight x on g6. Still, Prag is pressing here. The engine marks this as a mistake. Probably in some lines, the pawn on e4 is under attack. But the both players are below 10 seconds.
Both players are very low in time. It's very tough to play. Indian superstar is trying to trade the rooks. He's up a pawn. He's trying to stop the attack. Rook g1 has been played, trying not to allow any kinds of a checkmate on the first rank.
Queen b5, great move, offering a queen trade. That's the move that Vincent didn't want to see. King g8, now black avoids the pin. Queen d3 now hits the pawn on e4, and Vincent's attack is gone. The only idea is to play h4, h5, try to open up the g-file. The pawn on e4 was under attack.
Now the rook is being attacked by the bishop on b4. Rook d1 is being played. Queen takes another pawn. A queen trade is happening on the board. Rook is trying to be activated on the 7th rank, but it marks again as another mistake.
97, excellent defensive resource, defending the 7th rank. 95 here. Black is only very active, so the position repeats a couple of times. Of course, Prag is not going to repeat the position, but it's only 5 seconds each. h5, knight f3, knight f5. Black charges forward.
Everything is happening very quickly. Bishop h5, bishop c5, protecting the pawn. Rook c7, trying to grab all the pawns. Vincent is trying to stop somehow and take more pawns.
Knight e4, yeah, I think this is going to be really bad for white now. Rook c1, the only move to defend the bishop on e1. Where's the win? h3, knight e4, h6, and g4. Somehow white is still alive.
White is still alive with the 3 against 3 pawns. Actually, isn't it already...
Yeah, it could be about equal, yeah. Somehow Vincent fought back because Prag was not really precise in the time scramble. Big surprise there. This is still a blitz game after all. So white goes very aggressive. h4, sacrifice the pawn on a2 to be active. So most likely bishop g3, h5. So white is charging forward. Again, Prag has an extra pawn.
Yes, and we are having the h5 all the way. Now rook is trying to join the attack, maybe coming to the 7th or 6th rank. Both players are super low on time.
Only 5 seconds each for Vincent. He already essentially is playing the increment. Only 2 seconds per every move are added to the clock.
King on f5 and pawn on h5 are blocking all the potential push for the black.
Now there goes Prag. He needs to find a way to capitalize on the extra pawn. The f pawn is not going forward. White is pretty active. Maybe f5 at some point. You need to make a decision very quickly. 5 seconds on the clock.
Very low on time for both players. Prag is still trying. Rook d7 coming in.
Oh, this is a huge resource. h6 is a big threat. f5 pushed by Prag here. But again, king g5 Vincent charges. Well, watch out for the mate in one try. Bishop f6, h6, bishop f6 and h5. Almost feels like a mate, but g6 is impossible. There goes Prag with a checkmate threat on h3. Where's the defense? Where's the defense?
Wait, what happened?
There's no defense. Yeah, he just missed it. Rook b3, huge move by Prag. And he wins the game.
This is crazy. This is crazy result. Oh
Let's maybe select another game. Do we have another game?
If we have a game ongoing, I guess all the games actually have finished in the round number 4. Absolutely crazy match we just had between both of the players. I mean, absolutely unexpected result. After Vincent managed to equalize, suddenly he blunders a checkmate.
Yeah, this was a really strange game, Angelique, indeed, right? Because Vincent just played out the opening so slowly, unconfident about himself. He wasted like 2 minutes on a couple of simple moves. He was down a pawn, blundered for no good reason. And then he fought back. He almost made it, but no, it was still Prag.
And the results of the current round are following. Martirosyan managed to score a win against Abhimanyu Mishra. We have Igor Samonenko winning against Vaishali. We have Praggnanandhaa. We just seen how he made the checkmate of Vincent Keymer. Liem won against Marc-Andrea Maurizi, expanding his lead in the tournament. Liem managed to score an important victory against Sam Shankland. And Bjerre, for the first time in the tournament, scoring his win against Alexander Donchenko.
Super important victory. Yeah, but Salem his 4 points out of 4. Is he going to be able to continue his winning ways in the Challengers tournament? We're going to have to find out after the break. This is a 57th International Biel Chess Festival. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, dear viewers. We're following the Blitz tournament here in the 57th International Biel Chess Festival. The triathlon has reached one of the most interesting parts in both Challengers and Masters tournament. The Blitz tournament to determine who is going to qualify for the final stage. Round 5 is underway. Angelica, what do you think we can expect from this?
I mean, there has been some unpredictable results already. We have seen some downfall for Vincent, losing few games in a row. I mean, we have an exciting pairings for this round. And
the games already have started. There you go.
Wow. So let's decide on which game we are going to focus in this round.
So I would suggest we go with the game of Vaishali against Stalemate because these are the two leaders in the Challengers tournament. Stalemate has had a very powerful start so far. He has 4 points out of the 4. In the previous round, he defeated the co-leader of the Blitz tournament, Marc-Andrea Maurizzi, stopping his winning streak. The only player in both tournaments who has defeated everybody.
Yes, and Vaishali managed to score only 1 win against Jonas Bjerre. All the rest of the game she lost, unfortunately, but maybe she can score another win in this game. Who knows?
Look at that, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. So the Emirati Grandmaster is not losing time. He's gaining time with every single move. He's trying to accumulate as much as time he can. So for Vaishali, the start of the tournament has been a bit rough so far. She managed to chalk up a victory in the end, but it's tough. It's tough for her to keep the second place in the overall rankings, and that's why she really would love to score the victory here.
And here we see on the board some kind of a reversed Benoni played by Vaishali. A3 has been played, A4 stopped, and knight B3, a typical idea from in the Benoni structures, attacking the pawn on the D5.
Yeah, now the question is, how can White proceed? Because if Black will be able to play A4 and E5, this is a really great position. There you go, C5. Vaishali tries to keep the foot on the gas, applying pressure. Now what do? I think usually in these positions, Angelica, the knight stands well on C4, so I would imagine the knight on B3 is getting there in a moment.
Yes, knight D2, knight C4 is one of the maneuvers for Vaishali in this position. And maybe also trying to push for the B4, one of the key ideas. And A4 has been played, stopping the B4 possibilities for White.
Yeah, looks pretty nice, but the clock situation is not really good. 3 minutes and 18 seconds for Stalemate.
He has more time than he has started with.
Is he aiming for 4 minutes on the clock? That would be unheard of. I mean, he's literally spending no time on the position. It just proves he really knows his position so well, and it also applies immense amount of pressure on the opponent. Again, very quickly respond to 8x on B3 and passant. The knight is back on B3.
Yeah, so now huge question, is A3 pawn going to be a weakness as well as pawn on C5? Or is White is going to put pressure on this E4 pawn? I mean, this is a huge one.
So here already Bar slightly appreciates Black's position more, I suppose, because of those two nice and fancy bishops on C7 and C8. There goes E5. Knight E2, Vaishali needs to increase the speed, and that's what she does. So I assume, Angelica, she's going to keep this knight on B3 while the other knight is getting to C4. Bishop F5 applies pressure against the pawn on D3.
Yes, the pawn on D3 is being under attack, but right now, is there a way for for Black to attack second time? Maybe Queen G6 could be an idea. So Knight C4, Rook D1 is something you could do to protect the pawn, or maybe Knight E4.
Maybe both knights, one knight on E4, one knight on C4. Vaishali is trying to figure out, but she takes it a bit too slow here. Only 1 minute for her and 2 minutes and 50 seconds for the Emirati Grandmaster. So this is a huge advantage. So here White puts the knight on C4. I think she would love to put the other knight on D2, then on E4. A couple of easy moves incoming. Now the question is, what Stalemate is going to do about it? Yeah,
the pawn on A3 might be a target for White, so that's why the Emirati Grandmaster trying to double the rooks on the A file to put more pressure on the A file.
He hits the pawn on C5 now after knight E4. Is Vaishali ready to sacrifice the pawn on C5? Big question. The answer is no, she's not ready. The pawn on C5 is important. I don't like this choice, Angelica. I think she should have played knight E4. Give up the pawn on C5 to accelerate the Kingston attack. And now the position repeats. Is this a silent draw offer?
I don't think so. I think it's just a repetition for the move just in order to gain more time. We can see 2 minutes 45 seconds for Emirati Grandmaster, under 40 seconds for Vaishali. I mean, I don't like it.
Knight C1, that is not a good move. I don't think you want to put the knight on C1 unless you really have to. This knight on C1 defends the pawn on D3 and open up the B file, but Angelique, I mean, this knight definitely deserves a bit better. And I think it also invites Black to start a king-set attack with H5, H4. Here, Black is thinking.
Yes, exactly. An idea to bring the other knight to D2 and maybe placing it on E4, stopping the attack on the D3 pawn could be an idea. But maybe some pressure on the B7 pawn could be an initiative for Vaishali, some counter-attack ideas. How do you stop the H4?
H5 is on the board. Again, it's much easier to attack than defend. Rook B3, H4, Knight E2. Black is charging for. There's all kinds of threats for Black. H3, I love this move of Angelica because the Black is going to play Queen H5, Bishop G4, trade off the light square bishops. There might be potentially a mate on G2, and Vaishali seriously behind on the clock.
Vaishali is a huge trouble. Under 20 seconds right now. Bishop F1 has been played, but now what is going to happen after E4 break immediately? You cannot take the pawn. There is D3.
There comes Salem. Saleh is completely in charge of this game, hitting the queen, and if he's going to get the queen somewhere on the long diagonal, D3, Knight E4, White's position just falling apart. Great game so far by the Emirati Grandmaster.
Light squares for Vaishali are very weak on the king side. Huge attack is ongoing. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so here, this is the position what we have here. Queen F6, serious pressure. Black's position is completely dominating. The knight on D4 is heading to F3. Pawn on H3 is very strong. Pawn on D3 is a monster. So here, Vaishali, I don't think Angelica, she's going to survive.
Saleh Salem is fully in charge in this position. He's going for it.
She loses on time.
She loses on time.
Wow.
And let's jump maybe instantly to the game of Praggnanandhaa against Liem. Liem is the current leader of the standings, and Praggnanandhaa is the leader of the Blitz tournament currently because he's winning almost all his game. And look at this position.
So what do we have here?
We have a knight on C6. We have a pawn on B5.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to estimate who is even attacking. I mean, of course, I see the bar for in favor for Prague, but I also see the Rook on G8, that is attacking the White King. White is not an extra material. There you go. Now White is safe. Do not blunder the mate on G2. I think there's something like G3, which is necessary. But how about the pawn on C4?
And look at the time situation. Liem has more time. He has almost 1 minute, while Prague is suffering under huge time trouble.
Prague's in trouble. Prague's in trouble, I think, here. I'm not sure I share the same sentiment as the engine. Knight E2 is played. Maybe he has different views.
He shouldn't lose on time, like his sister just did in this round. Should play faster.
Queen D4 verse. This is essentially 2013 World Blitz champion Liem against one of the youngest superstars from India. Knight E5, there you go. Both the players are charging forward. The knight on E5, it feels really great. But also this knight on B6, Angelica, now it's in severe trouble. Do you play knight C4? Yes.
The knight C4 has been played, but then after trade of the knights, then it's possible to take the pawn or just to push the pawn on the B file, just B6, B7, just make it a queen.
Now it is Prague who is charging the lead. So after Rook D8, Queen C7, the B pawn looks very strong. Also the Black King is very weak compared to the White King. Now Prague looks like set to score a victory here, but again, only 5 seconds on the clock. Black has slightly more.
The check has been made, King G2. How do you create a counter-attack here? Do you play something like Queen A1? But then you might be checkmated. I mean, you cannot do that much. I mean,
Queen A1 would be a great idea indeed. This is what was also Salem Select's escape against Vaishali in the classical tournament. Move 40, you might remember the viewers. There goes Black's pawn.
White is winning a pawn and going for the Rook endgame. B pawn is going forward.
I think it's just... Is it a draw, 3 pawns versus 2? Rook B8, A4. I think we are heading to a theoretically drawn endgame, but it's not going to be still simple because in Blitz game it's very easy to blunder.
Yes, the pawn is being promoted. The pawns are being exchanged and looks like there are just 2 pawns against 3. Theoretically, it's a draw. In practice, anything can happen, especially under such severe time pressure.
Yeah, this game potentially could go on for a while because Prague, of course, is going to press. There's no risk for him, but Liem normally should be able to hold this. So he tries to chalk up a couple of moves, gain up time. So Prague at some point is going to have to push G4.
And now Rook E1 has been played. Rook E2 trying to create some weaknesses, but For Prag, there are of course, no risk in this position. He can play on and try to promote the pawns.
You got to push g4 at some point, create an h-pawn, and maybe then push the h-pawn forward to get the f-pawn. Of course, it's a draw, but again, you can play it forever and forever and forever. So we are going to see what kind of plan here Prag is going to come up with. Rook e2 at the moment, he's just shuffling the pieces here and there, possibly waiting for a mistake from black.
Yes, he's just waiting for maybe some inaccuracy. King on g6 actually for black is a perfect piece protecting both all the pawns on f6 and h6 and h5 and g4. Will it be played?
g4 is definitely incoming at some point. I think right now, there you go, g4 is on the board, so black should be pretty happy to trade those pawns. No, he does not. He does not take on g4 because this would allow white to establish a passed pawn. So he's going to keep his pawn on h5. How does Prag make a progress here? Maybe put the rook on h8?
Maybe trying to bring the rook to the side of the black, but then there could be some checksums coming from black. It's not so clear. I mean, how do you promote?
This is a big idea, threatening g5. So here Lim remains tactically alert. He saves from this threat. White advances with the king further. Now the position once again repeats. The black king is back on g6 to defend the pawn on h5.
Yes, and we see that Praggnanandhaa is playing his moves on the last seconds, being with 5 seconds, while Limle has around 20 seconds.
Yep. So this is, by the way, the final game of the current round ongoing. So we are going to stick to this game. Obviously, super interesting game. Theoretically drawn, but at some point I think that Prag will have to take on h5. There is, of course, the chance he might lose on time. I hope it never happens because that would be really painful. A lot of easy moves here for Limle.
Just some
checks.
Just checks are incoming, some repetition. King is coming. Maybe king is going all the way to the c6 and trying to go to the side of the black, but it's easier said than done, to be honest. The pawns are going to be under
finally
attack.
here, black is thinking 7 seconds, 6 seconds, not so much time anymore. Now the question is when Prag is going to capture the pawn on h5. How about now? How about now? You got to make a choice. There you go. G6 and h5 is on the board.
Rook is coming all the way to a5. Now rook wants to capture the pawn.
Whoa, big change here. Wait a second. King g6 is incoming. Wait a second. Now Limle is not sure if this is a draw. King g6 and here Prag senses there's an opportunity. Maybe rook h7. Okay, that was a rather weird move.
We might see the f and h pawn, which are... Whoa.
Check.
What is happening?
King h8 is very dangerous. There might be a mate net. So there goes the f pawn. We are going to have this very thematical h and f pawns, which is theoretically a draw, but the black king is cut off. The bar says now white is winning.
Crazy position, crazy change of the pace of the game. The pawns are being promoted further. F5.
Where was the win? I mean, Prag's not really sure. 3 seconds on the clock. He basically made the last move with only 1 second on the clock.
He's threatening to give a check now.
The black king is cut off, so it should be a win. He's not sure. He's checking the clock. Again, one move.
But now there are the checks from the black's king on the 7th rank, and now king has to always go to the g5.
King h7. I'm not so sure this is winning anymore. So there you go. So Prag is going to try to push forward the f pawn, rook e7, f6. I believe this is still a draw, if I'm not terribly mistaken. But again, those positions are incredibly tricky. In a practical blitz game, maybe doesn't even matter. No, I think now he's winning. Now he's winning.
Pawn
king f8 and f7 is incoming.
Pawn is all the way to f6, king f8, and now the pawn is coming to f7. How do you stop the pawn?
You don't. Prag wins. Prag is going to win this. He managed to trick his opponent. This is the theoretical winning endgame. I think we already saw this once in this tournament. I think it was the chess 960 game of Vaishali against Salem Selek, if I remember correctly. Exactly the same endgame.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
There you go. There you
and
go.
Now
Prag is scoring
e8,
super important victory.
e8.
And the 2013 World Blitz champion will have to agree that he has lost this game. Very painful. Huge victory for Prag. So let's now maybe check the current results of round 5 of the Blitz tournament, because there is a lot more action happening. We just saw Prag defeating Limle, the tournament leader, which might have massive implications to overall rankings. Sam Shankland, Mishra shared points. Martirosyan, again, he scored a victory. So Winston Keymer is suffering also in the Blitz tournament, falling behind. Donchenko defeats Igor Semenenko, trying to catch up the leaders. Then we have, why do we have 2 Semenenkovs? Okay, that's a technical mistake. Here we have the current standings. What do we see here?
Yeah, we see that Limle is still dominating with the field with the 20.5 points. Abhimanyu Mishra is right after him with Martirosyan. And now it's Praggnanandhaa who is on the 4th place in the tournament, while Vincent is 2.5 points behind. In the challengers, we see that Salem Saleh dominating the whole field with 26 points. No one can stop it. He's absolutely unstoppable. Vaishali with 21 points, Alexander Donchenko with 20 points, and Jonas Bjerre is trying to catch up with 16.5 points. The quarter of the Blitz tournament has just been over.
Wow, yeah, so the first half of the tournament is over, so it was really, really tense first 5 rounds. You can definitely see the adrenaline here is flowing through the veins, not only for the commentators, but also for the viewers. So I think the viewers, right now, we are going to make yet another break. I hope you're at the edge of your seats. We are definitely here. So there's more 5 rounds upcoming. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after the break. And we're back with more action from the Blitz tournament here in the Challengers and Masters Triathlons at the 57th International Beaches Festival. Round 6 of the Blitz tournament already has started. As you can see, a couple of moves have been played. So, Angelika, would you like to follow the game of Abhimanyu Mishra against Vincent Keymer? Because I think this game could be a critical for who is going to stay in the top 4 in the Masters.
I fully agree. Arthurs, we are having some, upsetting results currently for Vincent Keymer. Is he be able to strike back right now? Because he desperately needs to start scoring points in the Blitz tournament. And Abhimanyu actually also didn't have such a good time. He has only 1.5 points right now.
Yeah, and this is essentially a repeat of one of the previous rounds games. Rook A2, I recall Praggnanandhaa played exactly the same line against Vincent Keymer, which was the game of the day. So I think there was a slightly different position, not the rook A2, queen A2. It doesn't really matter. So the players definitely have done their homework. Now Vincent tries to most likely go for a king set attack. He desperately needs the victory here. And also for Mishra, this is a super critical game because from the first 5 games, he only has 1.5 points.
Yes, critical match we're having here for finally establishing who is going to go home today. We see C6 has been played on the board. What do we see here? Is there an idea to play knight h5 or knight f4 for black?
Absolutely. I think this is one of the common ideas with knight h5, exchange sacrifice on f3, knight f4. This was exactly what Vincent Keymer already played in the 4th-dimensional game against Praggnanandhaa. And that's why for Mishra, it's very important not only to focus on his own plans, but also do not forget what black is planning. c4, he tries advance at the queen side.
He's trying to challenge the center of black. The pawn on d5 is being attacked. The problem for black, they don't want to take, not to keep those 2 pawns doubled on the e file. So what do? Probably you just keep the tension.
I think just go for the attack again. In the Blitz game they use, it's much easier to be the attacker. So knight h5 here makes perfect sense. Threading would go for this exchange sacrifice on f3. We'll see what Vincent's going to choose. Instead, he decided to undermine some of White's potential weaknesses of the dark squares at a queen side. bd6 and a5 was played by Mishra.
Yeah, and we see that d4 has been played. Surprising move. I was not expecting that at all.
Wow.
Why would you close the center and close your bishop on a7, Arthurs?
That is such a weird move. I mean, I do not understand. I mean, now this bishop on a7 essentially staring at the pawn on d4. If he positions the bishop on b8, now it stares at the pawn on e5. I think Vincent himself is wondering, why did they actually make this move?
Yeah, was it a finger sleeper? How
I do not know. It's just not how you normally are playing. So I'm not really sure what was wrong with this knight h5 idea to go for the king set attack. He's just aiming for a different kind of position.
Maybe he would like to trade the bishop somewhere on the queen side with the idea of bishop c5, bishop b4. But now queen has to be removed all the way to c7. And actually, it's white who can create some pressure on the b file, bringing the rook to the b1, b2, and doubling.
White has a very nice position. Now, just as you said, double the rooks here at the b file, get to the pawn on b7. There's no counterattack for black at the king side. White can always improve things with something like g3, king g2, knight goes somewhere to g4, etc. Black lacks a plan.
What to do if you don't have a king side attack here as black? I mean, it's so difficult. How do you passively defend this position? It's not something what Vincent has to do here, but at some moment there could be some b6 break.
Could be. So here it is the German player who has to figure out what to do next. The knight on g6 doesn't do much. The knight on f6 feels pretty weird. So things don't really look great for Keymer. He really needs to step up on his game if he wants to stay in top 4, because he already is out of it, because Prague is scoring 4.5 points out of 5 in the Blitz tournament. He wants to have a good fight for the win of the triathlon. He had a terrible start in the classical tournament. So for Vincent, this is alarm bells.
And here we see the rooks being doubled on the b file. The b7 is a huge target right now for white. Bishop d6 has been played. What is the idea? To bring the rook all the way to b8 to protect the pawn on b7.
Yeah, also white needs to figure out how is he going to make a progress. There goes knight g4, trying to create some pressure. So after knight g4, white is hitting knight on f6. Vincent tries to keep the knights in the game. h4, h5. So at the moment, Mishra is playing all over the board. He's calling the shots at the king's and the queen's side.
He's just expanding on the with the a5 on the queen side, with the h4, h5 on the king side, and he can play wherever he wants.
And again, Keymer starts the burn time. It's not really so easy to play when you don't have a clear plan. Maybe try to get to the pawn on a5 with something like bishop c7, we're going to see. But right now, I think this is also a perfect opportunity for Mishra to finally score an important victory. Queen e8 is played by Keymer.
Do you feel like Keymer already emotionally lost this tournament? I mean, with all he moves he's playing, he's just making positions worse, playing this d4 idea, playing so passively on the king-queen side right now. What is happening?
Maybe I think what he's going to do, he's simply going to sit there quiet for the moment and not do nothing really, because it's also white who needs to come up with some sort of a move. We'll see, but right now for Winston, it's a very disappointing start. He feels it. Not sure. Sometimes these things, Angelika, happen. Just step out of the bed with the wrong foot, so to speak, right? It's just not going your way. Usually it's very difficult to predict how it's going to go. There we have the full screen of the players.
Yes, we see that the bishop before was played trying to trade the bishop, but it's actually Vincent Keymer who said, no, I would like to put pressure on the pawn on a5. Are we going to see repetition, by the way, bishop d6?
I'm actually a bit surprised he didn't trade the bishops. Why would he not do that? Because the bishop on c7 is not doing much. Knight e7, I suppose he's thinking about bringing the knight to c6. Is this what he's planning, c5, knight c6? Or he wants to do something else?
Vincent is trying to put more pressure on the pawn on a5. Can he do it with also bringing queen to d7? Maybe it's his idea.
King h8, black just waits. Here, sneak attack, queen c1, threatening to sacrifice something on h6, and Vincent is tactically alert. Of course, no time to calculate if there was something better, even though Engines marks this as a missed opportunity. White, I think, should be planning for some sort of h5 and knight h4. By the way, did Vincent not miss it? Now h5 looks to be very serious.
h5 is possible, knight going all the way to g6. Will Abhimanyu play it?
Abhimanyu is low on the clock, only 18 seconds on the clock, so he's burning a lot of time, not making a decision. This might give Vincent the break that he's looking for. Knight f6 improving the knight.
Now there is no h5 anymore because knight is controlling that square, and now if black is taking on a5, there is a pawn hanging on b7. Bishop b4.
Wait, what about a pawn on a5? Can he take the pawn on a5? No? I mean, take.
But then on b7, pawn is hanging.
You are correct. Okay, queen e8, that's why he declines it. Knight f1. White shuffle the pieces here and there, not a big change here for the moment. Who is going to blink?
That's a huge question. I mean, we see that so far the structure is not changing.
Oh, wait, this is a blunder. No, c5. He forgot that the bishop would retreat back on d2 in one diagonal.
And now he can take the pawn. Wow.
Yeah, he missed it. Mishra just blundered c5 move. This is exactly the moment that Keymer was looking for.
And what do? You take with a bishop. You're coming actually from this very bad bishop on c7. Bishop is getting to such a great diagonal coming to the c3.
I mean, actually, I find it pretty amazing, Angelika, that White just blundered the pawn and the position still is equal. It just shows how bad Vincent's position was before. The bishop at a5 is not doing much, actually.
And now he's winning back the pawn, taking that bishop on c5, trading it for a knight. Rooks are being traded over the board, one pair of rooks. And it's actually White who is dominating on the queen side with a rook and the queen on the A and B files.
But what about queen g4, knight h5, knight f4? Now there goes queen d1. Very annoying move in the blitz, because this queen on d1 can cause you a lot of troubles. If somebody is attacking here, it's black. There goes knight g4. Black is charging forward. This bishop that White has on c1 doesn't really do much. I already prefer black here.
Yes, black is indeed attacking here. Queen c2 trying to defend on the f2 square. Will knight join the attack with knight f6, knight g4?
I think it's a good idea. No, Winston for some reason steps back. I do not understand this move. Why didn't he charge forward? Queen e8 completely go into reverse. What's he doing? Queen f7 hitting the pawn on f2?
What is going on?
Oh, now this is a complete madness. 4 seconds for each. Queen g3, crazy counterattack. This is essential deja vu of their first game in the chess 960 when Keymer had an extra piece of that against Mishra.
Unfortunately, draw for the young German superstar is not enough. He has to win in order to try to fight for the top 4 in the rankings. Queen a7 attacking the rook.
I would choose still here black because it's a lot easier to be the attacker. Play queen g3, f3, create all kinds of mate threats. The extra piece here doesn't really feel. There goes the bishop.
Bishop goes being taken by the queen, and now there are some checks, and the pawns on d4 and f4 are very aggressive.
Black is just winning. Black is just winning this. I do not believe what the bar is saying here. There's some extra material for black, and everything is for white is falling apart. So I'm pretty sure that Vincent is going to do this. So 6 seconds each.
Will he trade the queens? No, he's not trading, but the huge problem is there is a pressure on the g7 square. Not anymore. Rook is joining the lead with rook b7.
King h7, a safe move, not to blunder anything. Essentially, Keymer has 3 extra pawns. Those were massive complications. Now the pawn f4 is under attack. You need to defend it. No, I think Keymer is going to try to go for the mate. Rook b1. Is this what he's going to do?
Rook b1 is a huge move.
Now he just trades queens. Okay, now this is technical winning. Vincent's easily going to do it, and I think Mishra is going to resign in a moment. You can see the unhappiness in Mishra's face. He's so unhappy because he got this game completely under his control. He's going to fight it out, but that was a big loss for the young American.
Yes, has a huge disappointment in this position. He's trying to come back with a king, but the problem is that the pawns on the king side are going simply to run, and that's going to be it.
This is also the only remaining game left of the round, and there's no need to resign just yet because maybe your opponent is going to misplay it. Vincent gave up the other pass pawn so that it's much easier plan to carry out. These H and G pawns, they're going to roll forward. There's no defense for the weaker side. Of course, in Blitz, you always play. You never know. Maybe your opponent is going to blunder the rook. Maybe he's going to flag, so you have to fight on.
And very important update, Praggnanandhaa managed to lose his game against Sam Shankland, which means that this win for Vincent will be very important to still try to fight to be and stay at the top 4 of the rankings of the Grandmaster Triathlon Masters.
Wow, that is a big result indeed. So everybody else, there's a lot of draws, by the way. We're going to check those results in a moment. In the meantime, we're following the game of Vincent Keymer against Mishra. For Vincent, this is the break he was looking for, because he started the tournament not really so great. Right now, he's out of the top 4 who are going to qualify. So he's going to now reduce this gap between him and Praggnanandhaa from 1.5 points to only half a point. So still not over, and 4 more Blitz games will be for everyone.
And he is slowly and confidently pushing in his game. There is king already being cut off on the first rank, and the pawns are going to slowly being promoted, and soon we are going to see the resignation. We are seeing the final moves.
There's no tricks. So
there are no tricks, only some checks, but...
Yeah, I think already here the final trick. Now Vincent, I'm pretty sure he's going to figure out where's the win. King g3, rook f3, push forward the g-pawn. There you go. He knows the technique.
Then you can play rook e3, king f2, and trying to trade the rooks.
Yeah, there you go. Remove the rook. And then position the rook on the 5th rank. Play g3, advance forward,
g3,
win the game.
Rook cannot leave. And now the king is coming.
And probably the simplest one at some point. He's going to play h2 check and king h3. The question is when. He does it right now, indeed. It feels like the white king is walking in a stalemate, but no, because white cannot give up the rook. There's always a mate threat. There's the resignation from Mishra.
Vincent is scoring important win. He has to be back to still fight, not to be eliminated today.
There we see the results of round 6. As you can see, Keymer just scored a clutch victory against Abhimanyu Mishra. Martirosyan share the points. Praggnanandhaa loses a very important game for Sam Shankland. In meet them in the challenges, we saw draws. Igor Semenenko versus Stalemate. Stalemate finally stopped to a draw by one of the most unexpected opponents, so to speak. Vaishali against Alexander Donchenko was a draw, and Maurizi continues his winning ways against Jonas Bjerre, who is falling behind. Now let's check the current standings of both tournaments.
What is happening there? We see Liem is still leading, but for us the most important is who is going to take the part in the place number 4. We see Praggnanandhaa with 16.5 points, and 1.5 point behind is Vincent Keymer, very, very close in the Masters tournament.
In the meantime, in the challengers, it's a huge gap between Stalemate and Vaishali, already 5 points. But what I'm really interested, Angelika, is this 10-point gap between Stalemate and Jonas Bjerre, because the Danish Grandmaster is already risking not to make it in top 4, because he can afford this gap to be more than 12 points. Is this really going to happen? We're going to have to find out after the break, because, dear viewers, we're going to recollect our thoughts for a moment. I hope you like the coverage so far. Here we see these are the these are the pairings for the next round. And if I would have to, Angelika, select one game we are going to follow the next round, can you spot which would you like to follow?
I would follow the game of Liem against Vincent Keymer, the leader of the tournament, against Vincent, who is trying to scratch his way back on the top 4.
All right, so we are going to see that after the break. Dear viewers, hope you like the exciting action so far from the Blitz tournament. There's 4 more games here in the Biel Chess Festival in the Blitz tournament, both Masters and Challengers. This is 57th International Biel Chess Festival. We'll be back after the break. We're back live from Biel, following this absolutely stunning action in the Blitz tournament in Masters and Challengers triathlons in the 57th International Biel Chess Festival. I'm Marta, this is Angelika. It's been a lot of crazy games, time scrambles, clock slamming, etc. Angelika, I don't think it's going to get any easier with the coming rounds, is it now?
Every round has been so exciting with so many surprising results, surprising outcomes, and I mean, this is going to be such a huge drama of who is going to stay in the top 4 and qualify for the final stage of the Grandmaster Triathlon.
Let's check the current results and pairings for the next round. Here you see this is round 7 in the making. So Prag is going to face Abhimanyu Mishra. Prag just lost his gig. He was leading the tournament. He is still leading the tournament, at least in the Blitz section, but he really needs the victory here. Shankland has finally a good round. He's facing now the Blitz specialist, Martirosyan. Super fun stuff right there. I think we are going to follow a game of Liem against Vincent Keymer because Vincent is dangerously close not to make it in the top 4. Then in the Challenger section, we have Marc-Andrea Maurizi, who has a fantastic run so far. He has 5 points out of 6. He's facing Igor Simonenkov, who just stopped Stalemate to a draw. Jonas Bjerre is dangerously close not to make in top 4. He desperately needs the victory against one of the leaders of the triathlon, Vaishali. Donchenko against Stalemate, yet another huge matchup.
Yes, we have Salem, who is dominating in the field for the challengers. Meanwhile, Praggnanandhaa is also on the top score amongst the masters. We have huge changes in the standings so far. Praggnanandhaa is number 4 right now. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, for Vincent, it's a huge round right now. He has to try and win.
Yeah, there you go. There the game start, and there the leaders of both sections. You can see it's Liem in the Masters and also Stalemate in the Challengers. But we are going to start with this game, and it's the English Opening Reverse Sicilian. And the 2 knights or 4 knights? No, it's technically 3 knights on the board, a bit odd order the moves.
Yes, we see knight f3 has been played.
So there's big theory, of course. I think rook e8 is the main move here. I'm a bit surprised about this early move, g3, bishop g2. I think everybody usually starts with knight f3 first, not to give black this opportunity. You could see the German grandmaster stop there for a moment, try to figure out what to do. You might ask me, Angelika, how do I know this? I mean, I've wrote a chess course on this, so I know everything about this position.
So if you know everything, you're huge an expert. I don't know much about it, or even I can say not at all, but it looks like e4 is a huge move. You're pushing the pawn, but aren't you losing a pawn on e4?
No, this is reversed Russell-Liem, so bishop takes on c3 now happens. Black is perfectly safe. You know, actually it's pretty interesting that Vincent plays this now with the black's perspective, because he played this really fascinating game in the classical tournament about beating Prague from the white's perspective. So in the Prague, from the white's perspective, Vincent already showed that he knows exactly what's happening here. So that's why I think, Angelika, he's really familiar with the setup.
Yes, and Liem is also trying to go for it. He castled. Now the question is, where do you develop the bishop? And we see actually queen c2 first played, attacking the pawn on e4.
Yeah, this is one of those other. I think here black's best idea is to play a5, a4, if I remember correctly from my course. So black grabs a lot of space. Knight b6. I'm not sure I like this move, because white is going to play b3 and the knight on b6 doesn't really do much. But we are going to see g5, very aggressive.
Very aggressive. Where do you put the knight here? I mean, you cannot go on d5.
He just missed knight e5. Oh my goodness, Vincent. He just missed it. He thought that knight e5 is impossible because he's going to capture the knight on d5, and he forgot the pawn on e4 is under attack. But by the way, can he still do it? Because now I see there's knight c3 move. This is not what he wanted. This
is not over, but he's undoubling the pawns for white, and white is actually the one who has a bishop pair. For Liem, it's a huge advantage right now. Bishop f5 is being played, but c4 is a move to follow, and bishop b2 is going to be a dangerous bishop on b2, x-raying this whole diagonal.
This is a disaster for Winston, because he got a very nice position. This one move g5, unfortunately, the viewers, this is what happens when you play the move too quickly at the wrong moment. One sort of mouse slip, so to speak, right? You miss knight e5, and the pace of the game now completely changes. There's going to be a very powerful battery of the queen and the bishop on the long diagonal.
Knight e7 been played. Knight is going for the e5 square, trying to block that very dangerous bishop on b2. How do you stop those two bishops? They're super strong.
Winston bought the chessable course. I highly doubt it, but thank you for the compliment. Really, Korean knife, I appreciate that. I think at this level, those super grandmasters, they have their own preparation. Rook e1, here you can see Liem led the 2-time winner of the triathlon. He's prepping to play either f3 or f4 and rip apart black's kingside.
Yeah, by the way, you always have some ideas with queen c3. Black has to watch out for, because this diagonal, and queen c3 has been playing immediately on the board. There are problems for black on the dark squares. How do you stop it? He plays f6.
Oh, bishop h3 is incoming. I think here white's position is just fantastic. Wait, here Liem missed it. Okay, maybe bishop h3 is still a possibility. Hitting the knight on d7, and then the pawn on f6 might fall as well. White has an absolutely dominating position. Winston knows that he's in major trouble here. There's
bishop h3 is being played on the board. Bishop e6 is an idea. Bishop takes d7. How do you stop it? Isn't Vincent simply collapsing out of the opening?
This is a very dangerous moment for Keymer, because right now it looks like he is the #1 candidate not to make it in top 4, because it is Prag who is overtaking him in the overall rankings right now by 1.5 points, and he simply cannot afford to lose this game.
This is the last chance for German #1 to still stay in the lead. Not still in the lead, but stay in the tournament. King h7 been played, but is there simply bishop takes d7 and queen f6?
I think you're right. Just collect the pawn on f6, and then, as they say, the obstacle bishop in an attack feels like an extra piece, but there's so many tempting positions. Look at that. Here, the Vietnamese grandmaster says, no, I want more. He positions the bishop on e6, and then the pawn on e3 is falling as well.
He wants to dominate. He can always take the pawn on e3. f5 could be an idea, or taking on the pawn on g5. Oh my God, this looks crazy.
He really has to hope that Praggnanandhaa is going to lose his game. Otherwise, if Vincent loses right now, Praggnanandhaa wins, the margin between them is going to be 2.5 points for only 3 Blitz games. It makes it almost impossible to recover. So that's why here, of course, Vincent is trying to hold on and pray that something happens also in Prag's game. We'll see.
Yes, and here trade on f4 has been played. Rook f4 is there, and the pawn is being under attack on f6. Looks like hopeless position for Vincent. What can he do?
I suggest, Angelica, I think here Vincent's position looks really terrible. He looks to be set to lose this game because I don't believe that Liem is going to mess this up. Since we're talking about Praggnanandhaa racing together with Vincent, who is going to qualify for top 4, let's go to this game. Praggnanandhaa, he's playing his game against Abhimanyu Mishra. By the way, one of the leaders of the triathlon. So this is what we have on the screen. Prag plays white, Mishra plays black.
Yes, and we see c4 has been played on the board, attacking the bishop. Knight is going all the way to d4, attacking the rook and the... Wait, he taking an exchange? It was a sacrifice, or it was a blunder?
Oh, there's going to be 2 pieces. 2 minor pieces for the rook. Apparently, Mishra just missed something. Yeah, for Mishra, the tournament has been going really rough. I mean, before the start of the tournament, we discussed, Angelica, we're not really sure how Mishra, the youngest participant of the Masters tournament, he's going to fare in Blitz. He doesn't really have so much experience. Also for Vaishali, we're not really sure. He is a bit falling behind.
He's falling behind indeed, and there are 2 pieces for rook. I thought that there was sacrifice and exchange, but actually there are 2 pieces for white, and knight all the way coming to the f4 square. Rook e4, just going simply away. There are 2 pieces for a rook, not much else. I mean, how do you protect it with
Prag has a commanding lead here in this position. Not only 2 minor pieces for the rook, but a very strong position. And if somebody can attack the opponent's king, it's only white, and Mishra now is also falling behind on the clock. I don't think this is good news for the German fans because, Angelica, by the looks, it looks like here Praggnanandhaa is going to score a victory and solidify his chances to get to top 4 and maybe, just maybe, still fight for the chance to win the triathlon. Why not?
Yes, of course, he has still the chances. Queen d5 has been played, trying to stop maybe that pawn on the d4, but instantly reply by Praggnanandhaa. Knight f3, he's putting more pressure on the pawn on e5.
You cannot take the pawn on d4 because the knight on f4 was hanging. I think already you can just grab the pawn on e5 and just marks this as a mistake. 8 seconds here for black. Prag has 20 seconds. There's a lot of very tempting combinations. I would just say grab the pawn.
Knight takes
worry about things
e5.
later.
Let's do it.
There you go. Position simplifies, knight is under attack, he retreats, but his game is still not over. Now, suddenly for black, the position is pretty easy to play. And we have an update, viewers. Vincent Keymer has lost his game against Liem, so all eyes are on the game of Praggnanandhaa against Mishra.
Can Praggnanandhaa win this game and extend the lead in front of the Vincent Keymer? That's a huge question right now. He has 2 pieces for a rook and very much dominating position, but can he do it? It's not so easy.
Now this is getting really unclear because Mishra is getting super active here, and here Prag is down on the last seconds on the clock. Now takes some b3, black establishes himself a couple of passed pawns.
Rook takes b3, rook c4. He's trying to grab the pawn on the c5. Actually, it's not so clear anymore.
Yeah, Mishra is fighting back. There also might be some mate threats. Rook c5, rook c8. Watch out for this king to be checkmated.
He has to stop the rook, coming with the rook somewhere on the 8th rank. And now the b-pawn is running.
Prag should be safe, but the question is, can he win this game?
A computer says that yes, he can, but okay. It's
There's
not so.
Prag.
Oh, knight g5.
There's Prag, and you can see Mishra is like, oh no, I mean, there's knight e6, I'm losing the rook, and now the rook is gone, and Prag is going to win this game. There's the resignation. Huge, important game that finished, and I think we're going to go now to the bird's eye view and select yet another game that is still ongoing. There's more games that follow here in round 7 of the Blitz tournament. Angelique, are you spotting something exciting?
Let's go to the game. Jonas Bjerre against Vaishali. What is happening on the board?
Bjerre desperately needs a victory. He just did it. This game is over. As you can see, the players are resetting the board. So who else is there?
We still have a game. Marc-Andrei Mauritia against Igor Samonienkov. And actually, Igor is the one who is up a piece in the position. Can he beat the Marc-Andrei Mauritia, one of the leaders of the Blitz tournament?
All right, we can follow that game as well. There's also the game running in the background. Alexander Donchenko against Salem Saleh. let's follow this game. So here Black has an extra piece. So Martirosyan is one of the leaders of the Blitz tournament. Semenenkov is pushing. So
Semenenkov is pushing. He has
how's this equal? I think the bar is just broken here. So Black is trying to find a make a progress.
Will they be able to push those pawns on e5 and f5?
It's really tricky when you have only a couple of seconds per every made move. It's not so easy to show your best technique. Bishop c2 here, you can see Black is trying to eliminate those pawns. There goes the white f pawn, f forward. Black tries to stop it.
Black tries to stop it and try to capture the pawn on a3, but for now there is no time since there is a pawn all the way in f6. Can you just take it? Can you just take a pawn on a5?
Somehow those pawns stay alive. It's just unbelievable how here Martirosyan manages to keep those pawns alive.
But now the rook comes to the e4 and the pawn is going to be taken.
We'll see. Yeah, not easy for Semenenkov to make the progress. The players are repeating the moves.
He's trying to take now the pawn on f5. The pawn on f5 has been taken. f7. He takes with the pawn, and now the last pawn is being off the board, and this looks like a draw.
In the meantime, I do see the position between Alexander Donchenko and Salem Salek. I think that Salem is scoring a victory by the looks of it. So
yes,
it was a very tense game, but let's follow this game here. Black. Oh, this is lovely.
The rook and the bishop against the rook.
All right, Angelika, how is your technique in rook and bishop versus rook?
I have won already one game with rook and the bishop against the rook. So yeah, I made my opponent to blunder. I mean, he was defending very well, but at the moment he just collapsed. So.
Oh, he just missed.
He missed a checkmate.
No, I think he blundered something else. He blundered the rook, right? Because in some lines the rook is gone. So what didn't happen here, this is what didn't happen. King h2, rook h1, king g3, rook g1, the rook is gone. Crazy game. And finally, also Martirosyan is stopped by Semenenkov. I'm really, really glad for him. Angelika, that finally he's winning. Do we have now results that we could check what happened in all over both tournaments? Or maybe, Angelika, you could just read them.
Yes, of course, we have a result of all the games in this round. We have seen that we have seen already the game of Vincent Keymer, who lost, unfortunately, to Liem in this game. We've seen Praggnanandhaa scoring an important victory against Abhimanyu. Andrei Martirosyan is losing to the Igor Semenenkov, and Martirosyan winning against Sam Shankland. Bjerre managed to score a victory against Vaishali, and Liem and Alexander Donchenko played a draw against Saleh Salem.
So here are the official results, as you can see on the screen. Yeah, Angelika, for Vincent, of course, this is really a heartbreak, but...
I think we have a problem with the result. There's Marc-André Martirosyan.
Everything is correct.
No? He should have lost against Igor Semenenkov.
Right, apologies about that. So it is what I was saying about Vincent Keymer's game, that for Vincent, this was a very painful loss, because now essentially he's trailing behind of Praggnanandhaa, who just won his game against Abhimanyu Mishra. Absolutely crazy stuff. So not really sure if he's going to make it, Angelika. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
can he still do it?
It's very tough right now. I mean, there are already like such a huge gap. 3 rounds to be played, and I mean, it's super tough.
Yeah, so here we can see the current standings. In the meantime, in the Masters tournament, Liem, he's all about business here. He leads the tournament with 3 points. Martirosyan is behind with 3 points. Mishra is falling behind, while Prag is slowly climbing back. But it is all news on Vincent Keymer, who is now desperately 2.5 points behind Praggnanandhaa. And to be honest, Angelika, I'm not sure if he can really make it up and try to catch Prag to qualify for the Final Four.
I mean, the only scenario for the German #1 is if he manages to win 3 games in a row, and in the meantime, Praggnanandhaa will have to lose all the games, because if we remember from chess 960, Praggnanandhaa was the one who won the tournament. So if the scores are exactly the same, then it's Praggnanandhaa who is promoting to the final stage of the Grandmaster Triathlon.
And of course, also in the challengers, Bjerre now is feeling a bit safer, because now there's only what is it, 9.5 point difference between him and Salem Saleh. So this means that the top final 4 for the challengers basically are set. There's no way that Bjerre is not going to make it. But I think also the big news, Angelika, is Salem's commanding lead of 5.5 points. Who is going to stop him?
Absolutely incredible result by Emirati Grandmaster. We've seen him amazing performance in the classical portion, but who would thought that he would score so many great results in the Blitz section? I mean, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and also you can see Donchenko is climbing closer and closer, and Vaishali still keeps her second place, but it's already half a point difference. It's tough, yeah. It's really tough for all of these players. There's a lot of tensions here, and these are the pairings for the round 8 in both tournaments. So Mishra needs here a good showing against Liem, the current leader. Liem is all about business. Yesterday he was not really so upset about his missed opportunity against Ike Martirosyan.
Yes.
Right, Vincent Keymer against Sam Shankland. For Vincent, this is all or nothing, really. And Ike Martirosyan against Praggnanandhaa, of course, also yet another huge matchup. So I think here for Vincent is not enough only to win his games, but really hope that also his opponents are going to help him.
And maybe Ike Martirosyan against Praggnanandhaa, one of the central games of the round. Of course, games over Vincent is something which we have to keep an eye on, to see if there is still a chance for German #1 to go up in the rankings and be in the top 4.
We are gonna see. Only a handful of games are left here. The viewers maybe also use this opportunity, write your feedback in the chat, how you're fighting the tournament so far. Yeah, it just rolls forward very quickly. There's no rest for the players. And yeah, that's it. That was already the next game. So Liem is sitting there getting ready for his game against Abhimanyu Mishra. Maybe that's the game, Angelika, we could follow unless you see a more exciting matchup.
I mean, I would follow game of Vincent or Praggnanandhaa. I think these matches are very important right now. I would say we start with Ike Martirosyan against Praggnanandhaa, because if Prag wins, then there is already no more questions. He would be the one who is qualifying for the final stage. But if Praggnanandhaa manages to have some defeats, then it's actually Vincent is going to have some chances to fight for top 4.
Yeah, here we see Sam Shankland, and for Sam, of course, I'm very happy for players who don't really perform so well in some other tournaments, and they treat this Blitz tournament as a chance to prove something. And for Sam, the tournament has been going really well so far. He's among the leaders in the Blitz tournament, and finally being able to show what he's capable of.
Exactly, and we see that Vincent Keymer is now at the board. The players are getting ready for a match. Salem, completely confident.
How many points he has scored in the Blitz tournament? Because so far he's been absolutely unstoppable. He just keeps improving his lead overall. 6 points out of 7.
This is absolutely an incredible result in the Blitz. I mean, only with 2 draws, basically, he is dominating in the field. Meanwhile, in the Masters tournament, 5.5 points for Praggnanandhaa, and after him we have Liem and Ike Martirosyan with 4.5 points.
Actually, also that matchup, Salem Saleh against Bjerre, is pretty interesting, because Bjerre is the one who is trailing behind of the tournament leader, but they already kind of calculate that he's going to make it either way. So maybe Bjerre doesn't really have a realistic chance to try to fight for the win if he is going to make it. I think he's going to make it in the final 4, but he's going to still at least be there.
Of course, he is going to be there, and here we see the standings one more time. Liem with 22 points on the first place in the Masters tournament, followed by Ike Martirosyan with 19, Abhimanyu Mishra with 18, and Praggnanandhaa is the one who is with 17.5 points right now on the place number 4. It's Vincent Keymer who is struggling there on the place number 5 and still trying not to lose the hope, but I think this almost is over for him.
We'll see. I just, by the way, realized there's 3 more games, not 2 more games, right?
3.
3 more games. Now, technically, then Bjerre can still fall behind. So if he loses all games, and if Salem Saleh wins this game, also it's going to be very interesting. But here we have, of course, one of the most important matchups of this round. Martirosyan, one of the biggest blitz specialists in the world. He's playing against Praggnanandhaa. I'm also happy for Prag finally finding his shape because the start has been very disappointing for him. Vincent, at this point, I think he already knows that there's no realistic chance for him to make it, but of course he's going to fight until the end.
And we see the handshake happen, the games are being started. So the game we would like to follow is the game. Okay, then we are coming to the Vincent Keymer against Sam Shankland.
All right, let's follow that game. Now, what we have here, it's some sort of a King's Indian defense. It seems that the American Grandmaster has prepped for this particular defense exclusively for Biel because he's a big Semislav specialist. He's written a highly successful chessable course, but here he plays, now it looks like a Grunfeld to me.
He's playing Grunfeld with the c5 and queen a5. Is a typical response on the d pawn takes on the c5, and knight e4 is something what black could do.
Yeah, so the position is completely symmetrical, but it's not equal because in the long run, black might be having problems because of the lights of a bishop. And this is how the American Grandmaster solves them. He temporarily sacrifices the pawn and recaptures the pawn on c5.
Bishop h6 trying to trade that annoying bishop on the g7. Looks very logical for Vincent.
I'm sorry, Angelica. I suggest that we simply change the game because this position is pretty peaceful. I would go to the game of Martirosyan against Praggnanandhaa because it looks a bit more spicy. This is a very symmetrical position, very peaceful position. And the game of Martirosyan against Praggnanandhaa has a chance to blow up at any moment.
Let's jump there immediately. We see that there is a huge imbalances here. The very nice pawn chain for white on the king side, e5, f4, g3, h2. Very nice.
All right, a4 is here played by Ike. Black has captured the pawn. This is, by the way, a very thematic idea in the opening. Queen's Gambit accepted of some sort. Not really sure if this was the Catalan. Doesn't even matter. The pawn on c4 is the temporary extra pawn, but black somehow sometimes keeps it.
Yes, and we see that there is opportunity for black to push the b4, but is it actually going to happen? Will Praggnanandhaa push the b4, or he's going to protect the pawn?
Yeah, he protects the pawn, because if he pushes the b pawn, then the pawn on c4 might be lost. Now, the big question, of course, for Ike is, where exactly is his compensation? He's incredibly active, but as they say, a pawn is a pawn, and also black is trying to play something like bishop b7.
Can you play rook a7, stopping bishop coming to a7? This is a huge question.
Watch out for queen c5 check. You need to make sure you're not blundering something there, which is not a blunder because white will have queen d4, but still, you need to make a decision very quickly. Typically, I think the pawn on e5 signals that white wants to go for some sort of a king-set attack, get the knight on e4, knight on g5, but, by the way, rook a7 is on the board.
Queen c5 is something what we might see an exchange of the queens, because after queen c5, queen d4 is a must right now.
Yeah,
knight c4, knight c5 has been played.
Yeah, also Vincent just misplayed something in his game, so things don't look really good for him. So we're still going to focus on this game. Queen e3, nice domination of the pieces. The queen on e3 lovely controls everything. So I suppose here Prag could push b4.
But still a pawn is a pawn. If Ike is not finding any initiative right now, he might be the one who is going to suffer in this position.
And of course, I mean, this is not all about the Blitz tournament. It's all about the overall rankings, because I think, of course, also Prag wants to chalk up as many victories as he can because he's a true fighter. He's also thinking not only about the Blitz tournament. He's not really thinking about qualifying for the top 4. He's thinking about how do I win this thing.
Exactly, and that's why we see that Praggnanandhaa is trying to find the best move here. Queen e3 has been played. Prag is still taking his time.
That he is, and I think Vincent in his game is down a pawn, so it doesn't really look like he's going to win the game.
Exactly, so huge chances for Praggnanandhaa right now to stay in the top 4 and qualify for the final stage. b4 has been played, knight e4 and bishop and knight has been traded. Now there is only bishop on e4 and bishop on c8 on the board.
Yeah, it's a very interesting position. Amazing, look at this. So white is down a pawn. Black has traded a lot of pieces, and yet somehow Bar evaluates this position in favor for white. And why is this? Because white is so active. I mean, look at this rook on a7. Look at the queen on e3 and bishop on e4. These are really nice pieces. But of course, the big question is, What's the follow-up? You want to get the pawn on c4, don't you?
Can you play rook d6? Okay, I want to play rook
Woo!
d6, rook
Rook
c6.
d6, that's a fancy move.
All right.
So Angelique was suggesting this move before to shut off the queen. I like this move.
But rook c1 is also targeting the pawn on c4 and then targeting the pawn on c7. By the way, how do you protect the pawn on the c4? Is
Queen
it just
c5?
pawn?
Can I play queen c5 here? I'm not really sure. Makes perfect sense, and I'm pretty
Queen
sure that Prag is
c5,
checking it.
Queen c5 trade, and then bishop d3.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm pretty sure also Prag just noticed this, so maybe it's not really that great. If this is not really that great, then what do you do?
Rook c5, the bishop d3 is as well the move.
30 seconds. He is 1 minute behind on the clock, so he goes for the pawn, sacrifices, and pushes for the b pawn.
He's trying to create a protected passer on the queen side, and we see that it's marked as a blunder. What can be?
Bishop takes on h7. He blundered bishop h7 here,
Oh
or queen e3, bishop
my
h7.
God.
This is a huge move here for what I'm pretty sure such a skilled player as Martirosyan. He sees this immediately. So the rook on b5 is simply under attack, and also now Prag immediately sees this. Now you see there's the pawn.
No, he missed it. He was looking absolutely in the wrong direction. He was looking on the queen side.
Wow.
He trusted Prag. Wow, both players missed bishop h7.
That is very unusual. It just shows this is a very tense tournament here. Now this gives one more opportunity for Prag. There goes the bishop on a6, and suddenly this black pawn on b3 becomes incredibly strong. It's very, very strong.
Bishop d3 trying to protect the pawn on c4, but how do you deal with this pressure? How do you deal with this pawn on b3, which is going forward and forward? f5, he's trying to go all in on the king side.
f5 makes perfect sense, and I think black cannot afford this pawn land on f6, although this pawn on b2 is so strong. It's 5 minutes before queen. E takes on f5 seems to be necessary, so Martirosyan is trying to go for an attack. The perfect choice for the time scramble, and Prag is 5 seconds on the clock. He needs to make a choice.
He's taking, and then e6 instantly has been played, trying to open up the side. Queen b3
He's missing something. What is he missing there? 50 seconds here for Praggnanandhaa for Martirosyan to figure it out? Wow, okay.
And the bar was jumping.
It just changes so quickly, and there you go. I think Martirosyan is going to win this game. There you go. Prag just blunders queen f7.
Queen d4 check. There are still some checks are incoming. Pawn on b2 is very dangerous still, but there are many checks.
Yeah, there you go after queen b5. Finally, queen d5 is incoming, and Praggnanandhaa resigns. Very important victory for the Armenian Grandmaster. What does it mean for Winston Keymer? Winston Keymer is still fighting. Let's go to that game and follow if he can chalk up the escape against the American Grandmaster, because he desperately needs the victory to stay in contention to qualify for the top 4. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and we see there are 2 extra pawns on the king side for the Sam Shankland. There are 2 pawns against 1 for white on the king side. But is it going to be possible to escape?
Still possible.
There is a mating net actually building up around the king.
I mean, yeah, and white is also down a pawn. But if white is able to organize a pass pawn on the queen side, this might still be everyone's game. No, black is up a pawn to connect the pass pawns to the king side, technically winning. The game continues.
The knight is jumping over to d7, attacking the rook. Now the question, how do you keep up? Rook e2 is a huge move, attacking the bishop and the pawn on h2. Can you take it? e5.
There you go. Black needs to push forward his own pawns as well. I think he wants to play e4, e3, e2, push forward the pawn.
Yes, he can also try to give some checks to the king. King is going forward.
Is this a mate? Oh, he just blundered the fork on c5. Oh my goodness, what is happening today with Keymer? There you go, he just resigns. Yet another blunder. The point is after king e4, there's knight c5. Very, very painful loss. Let's maybe go to the bird's eye view and select yet another game. But this game essentially means that Keymer is out of the top 4. It's going to be Prag who is going to make it. So who else we can follow?
We can see the game Igor Samonenko against Alexander Donchenko, or Vaishali against Marc-Andrea Mauritius. Those are 2 last games are ongoing. There is a crazy endgame.
Let's go to Vaishali.
There is a crazy endgame by Vaishali. Bishop for a rook.
So it's a sacrifice exchange for 2 pawns, is it? Apparently Vaishali is pressing here, risk-free position. I don't buy that this is equal. If somebody's pressing here, it's only white.
Exactly, and we have a reminder of that. She actually sacrificed an exchange similar way against Marc-Andrea Mauritius in the classical game.
Rook b8, nice move. Watch out for rook b2 check. There might be even some mate threats. So Vaishali trades the rooks, but now can she win this? I'm not really sure. She creates a passport on the king's end. Again, if somebody can win this, it's only white. Wait. Now I started to calculate. I just realized
the pawn is rushing.
the pawn is gone.
The a pawn is gone, but the h pawn is now rushing all the way to the h7. This looks like not possible to win for black anymore because black will have to stop the pawn. But can Vaishali do something? It looks like...
There was just a mistake. What about the pawn on c6 is up for grabs? Is Vaishali going to do it? Seems to be a free pawn. Why not? Then position the bishop back on e4. So apparently the Frenchman made a mistake. Now this should be a win. Two pass pawns. So the bishop on e4 is reigning supreme.
Wow, the c pawn can just run forward to promotion, and then king is a piece, the last piece which he has to activate, going all in.
Vaishali is going to do it. I think this is very, very important victory
The resignation has happened on the board. Vaishali won her game.
And all the games are over.
All the games are over, and we have the results of the round number 8 right now.
So I think we can... By the way, how did the game of Salem Saleh against Jonas Bull Bjerre finish? Salem Saleh won!
Wow, absolutely incredible.
So there are the results. Huge results of this round 8. 2 more games, of course, to follow. So Liem wins Mishra, solidifies his lead that he is about to make a serious claim to score hat trick in the triathlons. Of course, still early to tell. Very strong showing by the Vietnamese Grandmaster. Sam Shankland outplays Winston for Winston. This is simply a tournament. Forget it just started wrong. Martirosyan in a clutch game defeated Praggnanandhaa to solidify his lead over the Indian player. Then some huge games, of course, in the challenges. Probably the most important one, Salem Saleh outplaying Bjerre. And now for the Danish Grandmaster, this is not so clear if he's going to make it to the top 4.
Yes, exactly. He has still 2 games ongoing. He'll have to score some points. But for Masters, it's safe to say that actually we already have top 4 people who are going to go further because Vincent Keymer is 2.5 points behind after Praggnanandhaa, and we have 2 rounds to go. He cannot physically catch Indian superstar.
Yeah, so over here you see these are the rankings, and that's it. Prag is indeed already qualified. Bjerre now is in a danger zone, so he's trailing behind the tournament leader 10.5 points. Why this is important? Because if there's going to be more than 12 points between the leader and, for example, Bjerre, then Bjerre is not going to make it to the final 4 who are going to fight it out, who is going to win this tournament. Wow. 2 more rounds?
Tomorrow's super exciting chess is waiting for us. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, dear viewers, I think we are going to make some small refreshments. I hope you are still at the edge of your seats. We are. 2 more games, 2 more rounds. This is 57th International Biel Chess Festival. We'll be back after the break. We're back live from Biel following the Blitz tournament of the Martirosyan Challengers Triathlon in the 57th International Biel Chess Festival. There's 2 more rounds of this very exciting event to determine who is going to qualify for the final 4 stage, more classical games. Now, actually, Angelika, I'm not entirely sure if Bjerre is really so safe because he's falling behind the leader, Stalemate.
Yeah, it's for sure possible because currently he's at the edge of qualifying in the top 4 final stage. I'm not sure. It depends how he's going to perform in the final 2 rounds because Salem is just unstoppable in the Blitz portion.
So here we see this is still not the only final 4 clear because the Masters tournament is set. In the previous round, we saw that Keymer lost his final chance to qualify for the decisive matchups. Jonas Bjerre desperately needs the victory here because now he's 10.5 points behind the tournament leader. You cannot fall behind more than 12 points because then you do not qualify for the final stage. So this game against Alexander Donchenko in the Challengers tournament, Angelika, I would like to follow as the first one.
Yeah, for sure agree with you because in the Masters tournament it's all over for Vincent. He cannot anymore physically catch Praggnanandhaa with 2 games ongoing. He has 15 points, Praggnanandhaa 17.5. Maybe Praggnanandhaa could actually surpass Abhimanyu Mishra because he's just half a point behind the US Grandmaster.
Also for Mishra, the Blitz tournament has not been really so successful. Here you see the start of the game. The Danish player starts the game with e4. But also Prag is slowly climbing up, and this means there's still hope for the Indian fans that the top-seeded player of the triathlon in the master section might still actually win it.
And we see the Caracan on the board as a trade variation of the knight.
Yeah, this is one of the theoretical lines. D4, knight f6, played by both players. Queen retreats, knight e5. Donchenko already played the Caracan in Biel before.
And by the way, we are having the pictures of the players here on the left. You can see they are not their standard pictures, but they are the pictures actually from the Biel Chess Festival.
I didn't notice that. That's nice. That's nice. So thank you, whoever did this. Really nice to have updated pictures. Bishop e3, 6 played. I think that here Bjerre is looking for an opportunity to castle the long side, but the problem is, of course, this bishop at h5 that makes it impossible to happen. So I would say some sort of a h3, g4 could be a thing to consider.
Exactly, and now the question is, how will white also face... bishop g6, there is just knight g6, there is nothing there in the position. Still, there is a pawn from d4 for white, some maybe symbolic space advantage, might say.
You know, actually what is pretty interesting that both of these players were sitting next to me in the breakfast this morning. So we're discussing this tournament, you know, and I mean, jokingly we're discussing with Jonas, and I think also Alexander was part of the discussion that, I mean, there's no way that he's going to lose 5 points to Salem in the Blitz tournament. Well, not still so clear, you know, because Salem has a powerful start so far. For Bjerre, it's not really so great. He needs to show, amp up his game, and just as we talked about it, he decided to kill off black's last bishop.
Yeah, he's going for it, trading it, and now, how do you remove the bishop? How can you get away? He's just doing nothing, he's just castling. He's not, yeah.
Dream setup for black, beautiful knight on d5, bishop f4, there's a weakness sort of 4, so if white could only play g4, g3, this would be really nice move, secure the control of the f4 square, you could do it, and that's why here Donchenko banks the knight on f4 so that he can trade off this bishop, bishop takes at f4. I'm not really sure if Bjerre really minds the draw in this game, we'll see.
Yes, we are going to see. It depends also on the result of Salem, who is playing, and Marc-Andrea Maurizio, also another top player in the Blitz tournament, but he's already not qualifying for the final stage.
Queen e7. Black's game is pretty simple. Everything is solid. Maybe something like a short castle could be a possibility here. Also long castle move. d5. Big move here. The Danish player is ripping apart defenses. Queen d5 check. Queen d7. I think we are going to see mass trades. Queen d7, is this a move here?
A lot of trades are happening on the board. Queen d7. How do you proceed? Is there some rook d5, by the way, after
Yep.
queen d7?
Queen d7, rook d5, rook b5. How about the pawn on b7?
Oh my
This is
God.
looking really great for white.
King f8 may be the only move to go, but then the pawn on d5 is just hanging.
Maybe king f8 actually is necessary because then you can play g6 and king g7. So right now the German plays considering his options. He has still plenty of time. No, he plays queen d7.
Rook d5 is immediately was been answered by the Jonas Bjerre, and rook b5. Now the pawn on b7 is going to be lost. White is going to be up an extra pawn.
No, not quite, because there's a pawn on h3 under
pawn on
attack. So this is what he
h3.
calculated. You can have the pawn on b7, but you're going to have to give up the pawn on h3. This is exactly what Donchenko calculated, and this is why Bjerre plays c4.
c4 trying to establish the majority on the queen side. Right now we have with white pieces 3 against 2. On the queen side, black has 4 against 3.
That was a bit strange choice, to be honest. I mean, I thought that he needs to organize these 2 passed pawns on the queen side so that he can move forward. The pawn on h3 is not really that important, but I mean, Bjerre made the judgment call. If he felt that the rook at h8 is not doing anything, we'll see.
Is there some c5 ideas right now? Because rook on b8 is not protected, and king e7 has been played.
Watch out for rook d8, rook d2. Also, black is threatening something. That's why here Bjerre plays rook d1.
Rook d1, but what do you do after rook d8? Actually, isn't why black is just entering on the d file? But no, we have rook c8 attacking the pawn.
Bjerre in trouble. Bjerre in trouble. All right, so while things are cooking up here, I think also we could go check what is happening in the game of Stalemate against Marc-Andrea Maurizzi, because these are the 2 leaders of the Blitz tournament who've been showing some of the most impressive results so far. Maurizzi had a disappointing run so far. But
Look
at least
at
in
this
Blitz, he's doing something.
knight. Look at this knight on e4 and the knight on b3. They're dominating the position fully. What is going on?
20 seconds for Maurizzi.
Yes, and Saleh Salem is now in full charge. He's fully dominating. Rook is coming to g8, attacking the king. Sometimes sacrifices on g2 even are possible.
Yeah, he is in a really, really great shape here in this tournament. Just to remind the viewers, a couple of years ago, Saleh was playing with today's standards in the Masters tournament, and even there in the Blitz tournament, he scored 8 points, or was it? Yeah, 8 points out of 14, and he shared a second place. So right now he is playing challengers, so he's just breezing through and showing incredible, incredible strength.
And he's having right now 7 points out of 8, only 2 draws, all the rest he's winning, and he's crushing this game against the French Grandmaster Marc-Andrea Maurizzi. It is very tough to find the moves. There is no space for white. How do you defend this position?
There already feels there should be some kind of a tactical threat here, like knight c5 or knight e3. I'm not really sure. This knight on b3 is begging to be included at the king side. There's also rook g8, and to make things worse for white, there's 1 minute and 40 seconds for black.
Yes, for sure, and there is always some ideas to take on e2 to jump with the knight on c5. And bishop f1 has been played on the board.
White is trying to survive, staying alive. So I think if black is going to find a way to include this knight in the game, it's going to be over. I think here knight c5, knight e3 is the big idea for black at some point. You want to include this knight in the game as well. Knight x on d4, queen d4.
Ooh,
that is
he
beautiful. Saleh
blundered.
wins.
Saleh Salem is winning this game. Are we going to return the game of
Yes.
Jonas Bjerre?
Yes, indeed we are, because Bjerre is in trouble. He just blundered an exchange. It's
What
just
happened?
unbelievable. Look at that. Look at the facial expression of the Danish player. He's like, what is happening in this tournament? I mean, I'm just blundering things.
Oh my God, this looks absolutely crazy.
But he resigns with a smile. Everything is still possible for the Danish player. Let's maybe go to the bird's eye view and see if we have still more running games, do we?
Yes, of course, we have still 3 games ongoing. Mishra against Martirosyan, or Praggnanandhaa against Vincent Keymer. There are so many crazy actions happening. Ike has actually 2 bishops for Ike has 2 bishops for a queen. Let's go into the game. Martirosyan against Mishra.
All right, let's go. So what do we have? Queen versus 2 bishops and a couple of passed pawns. Oh, this is pretty insane. I think we already saw something like this in one of the Blitz games in the first round. I think it was Martirosyan against Liem. Was it not 2 queens versus 2
exactly.
bishops and a couple of pawns? Déjà vu.
Yes, and is a question here, there is no more queen, but is queen going to promote with h7, h8? That's a huge question.
And this is also a very important game for Mishra because he's been falling behind in the overall rankings and Prague was gaining up. So that's why here winning the game could be very important. Queen h8, he found a way to eliminate the pawn on h7. How about this pawn? By the way, the bar says it's just equal.
Yes, it's crazy how the bar is evaluating. I mean, like, the two bishops are completely in charge here. The pawn on c6, how do you stop it? I mean, you cannot really checkmate white because you have to stop that crazy pawn on the c6 square.
Black wants to disconnect the bishop with e4. That's why Martirosyan immediately plays bishop e2, bishop c4. I would play this with white, to be honest. It's just much easier to play. c7, and now apparently this pawn already is unstoppable. How do you stop it after king c6 and bishop d5 something?
Bishop d5 right now after queen e4. There is still queen a4 check, but
so
there are no more checks, no more checks. And
that's it, the queen is powerless. This is not something you see very often, so this pawn was unstoppable. Now it's all about Martirosyan trying to capitalize on the extra piece.
Now we have queen and the bishop and two pawns for white in this position, 2 against 2 pawns, but it looks like that white's idea to coordinate some pieces and then just manage to find a winning strike.
There you go. That's almost like a mate. Queen f2, g3 or g4. White is completely winning here.
King h3, queen f1. This looks like some checkmate.
e4, final chance maybe for black. Try to complicate matters. No, he plays queen f7. Try to make a perpetual check happening there. Is there a mate? Queen f2. Where's the mate? Where's the mate? Where's the mate?
Where is the mate? King takes the
stalemate. Wait, he just missed the stalemate idea.
What's happening?
Wow, he just missed the stalemate idea.
Oh my God.
I mean, at this moment, look at this. I mean, this is a very funny moment.
Crazy.
I forgot about the stalemate. He played here king takes on e5, eliminated the e4 threat, and now queen e5. Black gave up the queen, and now it's a stalemate on the board.
Crazy stuff happening. Oh my God.
Wow.
Abhimanyu manages to find a save here with a stalemate. We have a draw on the board.
So here we have the results. I mean, this is absolutely stunning game of Mishra versus Martirosyan. The players, of course, shared smiles after the game. I mean, okay, this happens only in the Blitz game. Praggnanandhaa scores another victory against Keymer. For Keymer, yeah, I think he just wants to finish today as fast as possible. It's already pretty clear. He's not going to make it to the final stage, losing a lot of games. Then we have Shankland against Liem sharing points. In the meantime, Semenenkov scores an important victory with the black color against one of the leaders, Vaishali.
Yes, and we have a very huge drama right now in the challengers. Will Jonas Bjerre actually advance to the final stage? This is a huge question because currently he's 11.5 points behind Saleh Salem.
We are discussing it's unlikely, and yet this is exactly what we are seeing here on the screen. Almost there, because you need to be within 12 points or 3 classical victories of 4 points each to make it to the final stage. Otherwise, you cannot win the triathlon anymore. This is written in the regulations. In the meantime, in the Masters tournament, Liem is still leading with 3 points, and Prague is already in the shared third place.
Yes, and we see that Prague is overtaking Abhimanyu. Mishra, there are so many changes in the standings happening right now. Everyone is getting ready for the final stage. This is crazy.
This is absolutely crazy indeed, and we have one more round, of course. So, dear viewers, you're going to have to find out what's going to be the final four in the Challengers tournament. Is Jonas Bjerre going to make it, or Salem Saleh is going to shut out one of the competitors? You're going to have to find out after the break. This is 57th International Biel Chess Festival. We'll be back in a moment. the final round of the Blitz tournament in both Masters and Challengers Triathlon here in Biel is still to be played out. And while in the Masters tournament, Angelika, everything is set, we already know our 4 finalists. Praggnanandhaa had a very strong showing in the Blitz tournament so far. He's showing a massive 6.5 out of 9 performance here in the Blitz. However, in the Challengers, Angelika, things are not so clear because Bjerre in this round desperately needs the win to stay in top 4.
Yes, exactly. He needs to score a victory because he is already 11.5 points behind of Salem. So if Salem wins and Bjerre doesn't, then we are going to have a huge problem for Jonas Bjerre. And in this case, he's playing against Igor Samonenkov, who actually has scored already 4 points in the Blitz tournament, scoring very important wins.
We just got an update that actually for Bjerre it's enough just to get a draw, because then it gets really tricky. Even if he draws, for example, Salem Salek against Vaishali wins, it's 12-point difference. So there's all kinds of interesting criteria taken into account. But the tournament director confirms it's just a draw for Bjerre. I think he knows this because you need to know what you need to achieve in this game. So that's, of course, is going to be the game we're going to continue. And here we have the standings. Can somebody stop Salem Salek in the Challengers? I do not really see who can do it.
This is absolutely crazy result for the Emirati Grandmaster, 29 points, having 6.5 points more than the Alexander Donchenko. This is absolutely amazing stuff. We've been spectating here the Blitz portion of the Grandmaster Triathlon.
I think he's just trying to win the entire thing right here. I mean, why not, right? So he has, what, 8 points out of 9, right? So who has the best results in the Blitz tournament in Challengers?
So in Challengers, we have Saleh Salem with 8 points out of 9, and Marc-Andrea Maurizi is with 5 points. The next one, so 3 points different between Salem and Marc-Andrea. Donchenko with 4.5 points, Samonenko with Bjerre Jonas together with 4 points, and Vaishali 2.5 points. And we see that the pairing started.
Yep, the game is started. So here we have a rather odd, I'm not really sure what is this, some kind of a Catalan, delayed Catalan. Okay, B3 here. White is not rushing to capture back the pawn on D4 because then Black would respond with E5. This is still opening prep for both players. Bjerre shows, I know this.
Bishop C5 has been played, Knight D4.
So here for the first moment, the Danish Grandmaster is considering what are his options. Maybe he didn't really know the move Knight E4. There you go, E5 is played, Knight F3 retreats. Now suddenly the game becomes really spicy and the E-pawn must charge forward. Knight E4, now White has a very nice outpost on D4.
White has a nice outpost, while Black is having those central pawns. But are they actually moving somewhere? Is there idea to play E3 at some moment? I mean, that's a question.
Might be. There might be an opportunity for Black to play E3 and chop it up things at the same time. Angelika, I mean, what do you do? For example, if you are playing the final game, doesn't matter the time control, Blitz, Rapid, or Classical, you need just a draw. What kind of approach would you have?
I mean, there is, such a dangerous type of approach going for a draw, which normally going to be punished. So I think that the most important is to play normal. How would you normally play?
What is normal? How would you define normal?
Not to play dry positions, not to trade the pieces, because you can just blunder in some position and you lose the game and you lose the chance of qualification. I mean, sometimes when the players are going for many simplifications, going for the trades and so on, and trying to choose the opening accordingly of the results they need, they might actually not succeed at all.
Yeah, so I think also it's a good idea, of course, just to play for the win, because it's very, very difficult to play for the draw. For Bjerre, I don't think he really can fight for the victory in the triathlon. Even if he's winning these 12 points, it's already such a huge difference, but he can at least be there, be the part to play a couple of interesting games and maybe climb up a bit higher in the overall rankings. Very important game. Angelika, I'm wondering if Samonenkov is even aware of this. Does he know? Does he know how this game is important for Bjerre?
I'm not sure he knows, because he is focused on his own result and it is not being great so far. But in the Blitz portion, actually Igor is pushing. He's scoring some very important wins, playing super well, having a good shape. Unfortunately, just towards the end of the triathlon, which will not be enough for him.
Bjerre is falling behind on the clock. In the meantime, just to give you an update, what is happening in Salem Select's game against Vaishali. Salem has simply an extra pawn in the Benko gambit-like position where opponent is a pawn. Basically, this is not the kind of news that Bjerre really wants to hear, but I don't believe, Angelika, he has the time to follow what's happening in that game. Just focus on your own.
Exactly, and e3 has been played. F4 is a reply by Igor Samonenkov. Is the pawn on e3 a strength or a weakness? That's a huge question. Can White try to capture it?
Yeah, only 1 minute and 10 seconds. Bishop b7 is played. This game is incredibly sharp. By the way, speaking about Igor, last round he scored finally a very important victory. He's been having a pretty good run so far. How many points does he have in the Blitz tournament?
Yeah, Igor is having actually 4 points, so he has scored some very nice wins already in the Blitz portion. If he would have started like this in the Grandmaster Triathlon, he would still have chances to go for the final stage, but unfortunately, it happened only at the end of the tournament in the Blitz portion, so now he doesn't have any chance at all.
Oh, this is really spicy. I mean, look at this. The black bishop just made it on d2. I'm wondering if White could think about moves like rook d1, rook d2 at some point, just sacrifice the exchange. The knight heads on c5. And one thing, Angelica, I really love about this position is this very strong battery. Bjerre is in danger here.
I'm looking at g4, g5 ideas, going all in on the king side and checkmating the Bjerre, but we see knight c5 has been played on the board.
Bishop c6, black's position deteriorates. Maybe, Angelica, you're right. The g4, g5 starts to suddenly become a very serious move, but again, it weakens your king. Maybe there's no mate because black can just always respond with either knight e8 or knight h5. Not an easy move to make. So you also want to consider some other moves, like, again, my idea for rook d1, rook d2. Could be also some more positional move like bishop f3, bishop c1.
He wants to trade the bishops and just capture the pawn on e3. That's also another idea. Knight e4 coming into the position of White.
When your wars try to complicate the matters, and this is exactly what Bjerre is doing, he's now about 1 minute on the clock and he's catching up with Samonenkov. This was the missed opportunity for White.
Exactly. And
great move, by the way.
Yes, great move with the knight. I mean, now you cannot really capture the bishop on d2 because then there are going to be some problems and
maybe go back, bishop b2, no?
but if you go back, there is queen f6. I mean, unfortunately.
Ooh, queen f6, that's a big move.
So bishop d2 actually been played, ed.
Pawn on d2,
Oh
almost like a queen. I mean, this is a very strong pawn. Now that's the question. Is this pawn a strength or is it a weakness? Actually, the bar says it is a strength, but I don't really see how White can capture it immediately. Maybe take on e4, but then black is going to include the trade on the e4.
Yeah, maybe take, and then rook d1, just couple of exchanges of the pieces and trying to capture the pawn on d2. White might be up a pawn, and this is actually crazy what is happening right now.
In the meantime, Vaishali is fighting back against her game in Salem Select. For Salem, it's still not everything clear. So they're this is a very important game for the final round, of course, because we're trying to find out who's going to be the final player to qualify from the challengers to the final 4. So Bjerre cannot lose this game. He needs a draw. Now the position looks pretty safe, although, by the way, he's down a pawn.
He's down pawn in this position. Can he? But he's actually very active. Yes, his rook is all the way on d3. He's attacking the pawn on e3. Another rook is coming into position. Will he be able to score this very important half a point at least?
Black is very active, but both players are below 30 seconds. I mean, for Bjerre, it's slightly more. Rook e2 played here by the Ukrainian player. In the meantime, what do we have in Vaishali's game? The game is pretty wild.
Yes, very
Salem
well.
Saleh has an extra pawn still, but yeah, very intense game there as well. So we'll still follow this game. So Bjerre stands at the moment, tries to apply pressure on the clock.
Igor is also having an extra pawn here, but the problem is that black's pieces are super active, but both players are going down to 15 seconds on the clock. F5.
F5 was a very nervous move. King h removing the king from some checks. Now black is threatening to crash through at d2, rook c4, queen a3. Now black charges forward.
Yeah, the huge question is what do you do here? Rook c7 trying to activate the rooks for white. Can White do some damage here? Will Bjerre make it to the top 4?
And their news from Select's game, I don't think Bjerre wants to hear. The Emiratic Ramster has a very nice and potentially winning position, so that's why once again here Bjerre needs to hold on or not to lose.
He needs to hold on this position, but it looks like rook on a7 is being activated very much. Where do you go with a bishop?
Feels pretty safe for black, but it just takes one mistake and it's gone. Watch out for doubling the rooks on the 7th rank.
And now there is a huge threat of rook c2 right now. The queen is pinned.
Rook d7,
What
rook
happened after
c2.
rook c2?
4 seconds, 3 seconds,
Rook
rook c2 is
c2.
on the board. There's a queen sacrifice.
Queen sacrifice for 2 rooks. I mean, still materially around equal, but the pawn on a5. What
I
do you
think
do?
black is already much better here, so here white tries to activate his pieces. The bishop on g2 is pretty dead. I suppose some sort of a g4 already could be played.
The g4 idea trying to open up and having some squares for the king. Maybe it's a case when Bjerre is already safe, but we don't know. Anything can happen in last seconds.
Salem has a theoretically interesting endgame in the rook endgame, extra pawn up against Vaishala, but it's not clear if he can win this. So, of course, Bjerre has no time to check it out here, so he's trying to activate his pieces, doubling the rooks here, making sure not to blunder. There goes g5. Very nice move, trying to expose the black king. I love that.
Yes, exactly, and going forward all in because the weak king might bring some...
This is dangerous. This is very dangerous. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Just a second. Queen e4, g6.
Queen h5.
Probably it's equal. Not really sure, but now Bjerre is seriously pressed on the
There are
clock.
2 pawns for white. Can white make it?
Oh, that was a great move. Rook e6. How did it protect the
King
pawn on
f2.
e3? e4, the game continues. Rook a7. Bjerre should be safe. 3 seconds. Wait, he can play rook h7, just capture the queen. Wait, no? He just missed it. He could have
Rook
trapped the queen.
h7.
He could have
Was
trapped
trapping
the
the
queen.
queen. Oh my god. Queen c8.
Look,
He blundered the rook. No.
He blunders the rook. Queen is just
Oh my God.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, how can you do that? Just such a heartbreak for Bjerre. So what
And
is
he
it?
resigns. What is happening in the game of Saleh Salem
He's
against
out.
Vaishali?
He's out because Salem just won his game against Vaishali. I mean, this is such a just unbelievable.
This is crazy. Absolutely unbelievable.
Poor Jonas. I mean, of course, Samonenko played a fantastic game. He managed to take around this game, and you can see Salek is a really great spirit. 9 points out of 10. Of course, he's very happy about his performance. What he doesn't know yet, he already kicked out one of his potential opponents for the Final Four.
Oh my God, this looks so crazy. I mean, do you think Samonenkov knew what was happening? I mean, it felt like he had no idea that Jonas Bjerre needed just a draw to keep
Angelica, can I just show you this moment? Can you find the victory here for black? That okay, you're not seeing this. We still have more games. We're going back to this game in a moment, but there was this crazy moment when Rook h7 was just winning Bjerre the place in the Final Four. Just capture the queen on h7. I believe this move was possible there for a couple of moves, and we just saw also yet another game of Mishra against Shankland, finishing, I believe, how did this game finish?
the victory for... I know, in the...
Can you give me an update? No, it's a draw.
Yeah, it's a draw.
It's a draw. So insane final round. Heartbreak, of course, for the Danish player. Here are the results. Mishra plays draw against Shankland, Liem. Actually, all the Masters tournament finished in draws. But that's the huge game here. Igor Samonenkov against Jonas Bjerre, who could have trapped Samonenkov's queen, like I believe a couple of times. It was King on h6. He didn't notice. It's going to cost him place in the final stage.
Absolutely unbelievable results we are having here at the Biel Chess Festival Grandmaster Triathlon. Let's look at the standings. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, these are the standings after the Blitz tournament, which now is officially over. So Liem takes down the overall rankings before the final stage. He is in a hot pursuit by Martirosyan, who is behind him by 3 points. Prag has managed to erase the deficit before the Blitz tournament. Now he shares the 3rd place together with Mishra, and he is still within the striking distance from the leaders. So this is our top 4. Liem, Martirosyan, Praggnanandhaa, and Abhimanyu Mishra. In the meantime, in the challengers, if my calculations are correct, I believe it's only going to be 3 players and not 4.
This is absolutely incredible. Full domination by Emirati Grandmaster Saleh Salem with 9 out of 10 points, only 2 draws, and all the rest he won. This is absolutely insane result, increasing the lead with 7 points after the Alexander Donchenko by Shali with 22.5, and Jonas Bjerre 12.5 points behind, just half a point, not enough to be in the top 4 and go to the final stage. What a heartbreaking result for the Danish Grandmaster.
Yeah, it just seems so unlikely before the start of the Blitz tournament, because in the beginning he essentially had to lose 5 points against the leader at the moment, Salem Saleh, before the start of the Blitz tournament. So it seemed like an impossible thing to do. But somehow for the Danish player, the start of the Blitz tournament started wrong. I mean, he started 0 points out of 3. After that, he managed to chalk up a couple of victories. And then the critical moment against Simonenkov, he's being very solid, nice position. He did not notice this rook h7 idea, the possibility not only to capture Simonenkov's queen, but also qualify for the final stage. It happens.
Absolutely incredible results we're having here at the Grandmaster Triathlon. I mean, I guess the heartbeat of the players is going just high. I mean, I was like having almost a heart attack in the game. Jonas Bjerre against Simonenko. Absolutely crazy action.
Right, so I think that we're going to make a break, so we would love to have a couple of interviews here with some of the heroes from the Blitz tournament. Don't go anywhere. Still, it's going to be very interesting to hear what the players got to say behind the scenes. So how did it feel to play in such a thrilling tournament? This is 57th International Biel Chess Festival. We'll be back after the break.
Welcome back to the 57th International Biel Chess Festival, and the Blitz portion of the Grandmaster Triathlon is over. I'm happy to have with me Saleh Salem from the Challengers and Praggnanandhaa from the Masters. Thank you so much, guys, for joining the stream.
Thank you for having us.
We're having Saleh Salem because you actually crushed it in Blitz with 9 out of 10. I mean, Salem, what did you have for breakfast?
No, I had a lot of luck. No, I had my usual breakfast, and actually the usual lunch. Today is Sunday; it's closed, so this was maybe I have to change it for classic.
No lunch, and
Yeah.
such great result. Prag, you were actually at the risk of elimination. You were the 5th place before the Blitz. How did you manage to gain so much energy and power and strike it in Blitz?
No, the way I was playing in classical, I thought, yeah, I don't deserve to play in this field, but yeah, today went well. I was lucky yesterday. I was worse out of opening, but then, yeah, some of things went well, and at least I had a shot today to make it to top 4, and yeah, I started well, and I got into top 4 like quite early, maybe first 2 rounds itself, so that pressure was off, and then because I had this advantage over Vincent that I won the 960. Yeah, I wouldn't say I played really well in 960 as well, but yeah, today went well somehow, except those 2 games of which I lost, but apart from that, it went well.
Have you been checking, the standings all the time, knowing where you are and Vincent to know who is actually qualifying?
Yeah, I was taking standings every game. I was actually hoping that maybe I could even jump to 2nd position at some point if I beat Ike at some point. But yeah, I lost that crucial game, but making it to 3rd itself is, it's
very
I would
tough.
be very happy if you had said 2 days back.
Yeah, but already 3rd place is very nice. And about the standings in the challenges, have you been following actually the standings and what is happening below you? Because of course you are always at the top, but
No.
what is happening there? The fight for the 4th place.
Yeah, actually, I usually don't check the standings. I had no clue what's going on. I was just believing that Alexander Donchenko is chasing me, so I was pushing, and only after the tournament, he told me, no, I didn't score so well. So, no, I wanted to just focus on my games. Anyway, it will not make any difference, only extra pressure if you know this kind of information. So it's better just to play your game.
Yes, because why I'm asking, because of your such great result, Bjerre unfortunately was in the huge distance from you with 12.5 points. So
Yeah.
if he manages to draw the last game, then he would qualify for the final stage. And now basically you eliminated him.
Yes.
Okay, it was not
Yes,
your problem, but
No, I eliminated him, but it was not a good day for him, because if he scored at least half point the last round, he would survive. So, okay, maybe you will have another successful tournament instead of continuing 3 rounds here.
Salem, also another question to you. So now you're having a huge lead. Like now you're having 30 points, 7 points in front of Alexander Donchenko. You will have to play 2 games in the final stage. And it actually means that, one draw is enough to win it all.
No, again, this information for me, it's like extra pressure. For me, actually, classical games are more important. I don't care if I win the tournament or not. I just want to play good. Anyway, there is also rating on the line. I just want to play good games, and like winning the tournament or not, it's not relevant.
We have also some questions from the chat. Prag, there is some question to you. How do you rate the Indian team chances for the Olympiad?
Yeah, we have maybe the best team in the history in terms of rating, and yeah, we have good chances. I think we are seeded 2nd. So yeah, we have good chances if we all play our best chess there.
Do you have any board preferences for yourself, or it's already settled?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. We'll have team meetings, and whatever the team decides, I'm okay with it.
And the question for Salem, for you, are we going to see you playing in the Global Chess League this year?
Well, I'm hoping. I wasn't contacted yet, but I'm hoping to play. Actually, I just would like to play in general more. So I would be happy to be there.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us live here in the studio. We loved how you played today. Congratulations on the huge achievement in the Blitz. And best of luck for the final stage. And also have a good rest tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we are going to the standings, current standings of the Grandmaster Triathlon in the Challengers and the Masters. And we see that in Masters we have Liem, who is still leading the tournament with 24 points. After him we see Martirosyan with 21 points. Praggnanandhaa is jumping up from the 4th place all the way from the 5th place all the way to the 3rd one, surpassing Mishra, who is currently in the 4th place. And in Challenger, Salem is absolutely crushing the field with the 30 points. Donchenko is on the 2nd place, 7 points apart by Shali with 22.5 points. Those are the players who are going in for the final stage.
Wow, one more event is behind us, Angelika, right? So it was very interesting, of course, as usual, to hear the thoughts of the players. Personally, I think I was a bit afraid, to call Salem as one of the heavy favorites before the Blitz tournament, right? I had a feeling he is definitely going to show a very impressive result, but 9 out of 10, I quite didn't predict this.
You didn't want to jinx him, right?
No, I mean, I was pretty sure that, of course, he will be among the top 3, but such a showing I didn't expect. I also definitely didn't expect that Bjerre is not going to make it, but okay, these things happen. It's not, of course, not a big tragedy for Jonas, because even if he had qualified for the final stage, realistically, he wouldn't have much chances to get to the 1st place, because essentially now, if the calculations are correct, that Salem just needs a draw, right, from the final 3 games to clinch the title. So there's that.
This is crazy action we had today at the Blitz. I mean, huge result for Salem, and of course for Praggnanandhaa. Going up to the 3rd place was super important.
That's right. So maybe let's now check once more the current format of the triathlon, because we are in for a treat. There's this one more thing which is called the final stage, a brand new addition to the triathlon here in Biel. This has never been done before, so new discovery for everyone. So they are going to fight against each other. 4 players in the Masters tournament. They're going to now play a round robin, and only 3 in Challengers, because Bjerre did not qualify. And then we are going to know who is going to win the tournament. So I think for the Challengers, Salem Saleh seems to be rather certain, but for the Masters, nothing is yet clear.
Absolutely correct. In Masters, anything can change in any round. Still, we are going to see 3 more rounds of action in Masters and the Challengers tournament.
Yeah, so dear viewers, hope you're enjoying this. Absolutely, we did enjoy this here. And thank you for your positive vibes in the chat, your amazing questions. You are really fantastic. And also, I once again would like to use this opportunity to thank all the team of the Biel Chess Festival who made it happen. Everyone makes it very hard. Also, our producer, Big, sitting left to us. Big, are you there? Yes, he's there. I just checked it, hasn't left it, so he's working very hard to make our experience of viewing this amazing festival as best as possible. That's it for us for today. We'll be back on Tuesday for yet another exciting day. Tomorrow there's a rest day. The players will try to gather the strength, maybe do some deeper prep for the final stage. And then on Tuesday we'll be back with more classical chess at 2 p.m. following who is going to take down this year's triathlon. Take care, have a great evening, great midday, and then have a great evening, and see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.